Okay, welcome to episode 9. I have Sam, who apparently is in black and white, Peter, and me, and joining us is Veteran. Veteran, phone, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Veteran. I watch Europe a ton, which is the only region to have the privilege and honour of meeting Faker 5 times in a row in the best of 5, because Korea knows all about the mids. And yeah, I actually bothered to watch some Korea this week for this show. So there you go. But my speciality is mostly European League of Legends. I have coached in, well, I've analysed in challenger scene and for LCS teams, and very recently I was coaching Dignitas EU at DreamHack Valencia, which we won. So there you go. Brought out the counter to Sivir.
The counter to Sivir.
Anivia.
Yeah. Counter to all in Sivir comps. Let's be very specific. That is a last rotation purple side pick if they pick something like Orianna or Cassiopeia. There you go.
Okay.
Was it a Cassiopeia top?
It was a Cassiopeia mid, and they were anticipating our victor.
Throwback joke for a couple months ago.
I have no.
So, I know you mentioned you watched this week's, but we're going to start off with last week's matches. So,
Excellent.
Two.
We're going to take a quick look at 2 matches that SKT played, a close win and their first loss. So we're going to look at mostly at the SKT CJ, because that's where they first got their loss, but you can also see the difficulties they had beating KT in the telecom wars. So who wants to jump in and voice their thoughts on SKT not looking perfect anymore?
The first game, they still looked hella strong.
Yeah, well, we can say first game's teams looked really good until we can say that about Jin Air a lot too. But
I mean, I don't really buy that series was like a big kind of like exposure SKT or something. Like
No.
SKT draft like you just had to look at the draft and I was like, this looks really dangerous for SKT. Like in the second game I was like, this is a really bad draft, this is. And then in the third game I was like, this is really bad. It was a bit like that Kaboom versus Alliance game where Kaboom like really drafted really well and like Alliance just drafted really badly. And I wasn't quite sure why they drafted so badly. But like it was a bit like that. Like you give Coco.
It was the same reason. It was the same reason why SKT drafted so badly. It was a lack of respect for their opponents.
Yeah.
In this case, SKT weren't respecting the double globals that were coming out of the CJ team at that point.
But it's also stuff like Coco's the second best mid laner, like maybe in the world, and the best Azir player in the world. And then you give him his Azir twice in a row. Like he can just body anything on Azir. Like he's
To be fair,
so good at that champion.
Game 2, like he already got beaten once by Faker's Victor. I think Faker's Victor versus Coco's Azir is pretty even, but Game 3 the TF was just
Yeah, exactly. And then that TF pick, like not only is like that a terrible matchup with TF, but Faker's not a good TF player. Okay, like it's actually one of the few champions. Like I've seen Faker have more blue cards than Reginald. Like he does not play a good TF. He's a really good player. Don't get me wrong. And you know what? He's a decent TF, but he ain't like he's a legendary Faker performer. It's like his Xerath. You know what I mean? It's good, but he plays it weird. And like I just think that SKT just for some reason, just in that series, were just like, I'm not bothered if we win. Let's try and style on these motherfuckers.
it wouldn't surprise me. So they were already locked in anyway. Like what the hell did they care?
you can also see the Azir. You can say the same thing about Faker's Azir. It's not.
Well,
it's not to Faker level standards. Like
it's still
it doesn't shit on people.
It's still very good.
It's good, but it's not to the level we usually see out of Faker's champion pool.
This Azir is still top level. No, also like the fucking Vayne the whole time, and
Yeah.
the disrespect Vayne, and then come on, like MadLife keeps getting Braum, which totally dumps it on Vayne, and Braum just.
Oh, he was not making the right choices on Vayne whatsoever. Like that was actually painful to watch. But Mad Life was making all the right choices on Braum for like the whole series. It was actually unreal. Like wherever he needed to be, he was. And we know that he takes global timers into account for a lot of things. But whenever like Faker's Twisted Fate global was up, like he was always in lane whenever he knew Faker was about to start making a play, and he was perfectly there every time. Like it was incredible.
Yeah.
And the whole point of TF that game, I think, was just to dive the back line that would otherwise be impossible without Mundo flanking, which God knows he really did try to do and was actually really successful in for a bit. and also getting around the Azir ultimate. Like TF was used in Southeast Asia in like really early on in the season as a potential counter to Azir in mid-game team fights because of the mechanics of his ultimate. So I disagree that TF's like a bad pick into Azir. Like in the laning phase, yeah, sure. But in the laning phase, TF was being used to shut down the Rise, and he was really, really actively punishing the Rise.
Yeah, but the problem is they picked it into Braum, and Braum is pure counter to TF.
Yeah, and the Braum was doing all the work.
Exactly, and he did that the whole fucking series. For me, Madlife and Madlife and Coco were the MVP of the whole series. They just fucking...
Oh, Madlife definitely. Like,
Madlife. I don't get after game 1, I was already, dude, get rid of the fucking Braum. But they fucking never did. Sorry. Like, even in game 1 where they were stomping, the Braum was effective.
They kept banning Kalista, like, woo! And look out for fucking Spacious Kalista, guys.
He's fucking horrible at Kalista. Like, I don't get this shit. And they give him Sivir.
Yeah, like in game 2, they did 2 AD carry bans, Kalista and Cogmore, but left open Azir and Sivir. Like, well, that's just and Rek'Sai. Like, it's just dumb. And then the Braum as well. And fair enough, you get repped by the Braum in the first game, but there was no real adaptation. Like, they just banned the Kalista, banned the Gragas. So CJN's just like it's just bad draft by them, like all around.
It was fucking.
Like, I'm not convinced by Mundo as a pick either. I don't really get where that's coming from.
I actually think that's.
I was convinced by the Mundo
pick,
but
was
not
really
the pick.
good.
The pick I thought was weird, and then when I saw him playing and what he did to the map, the way he played and just basically counter jungled constantly was like, wow. Marin is like, compared to the first few games, like the couple games he's been playing recently, where it's been pretty bad. Seeing him play this, it's like, wow, I'm pretty surprised he did very well.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. I wasn't convinced, and then it looked really good in game, but yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, you still saw SKT playing well in these games. Like, they still played well in this series. I just think they got out-drafted, and like by quite a large margin, and CJ really stepped up. Like, CJ played really fucking good Legends. Like, I didn't even know that Trick guy could like play League of Legends at all, let alone like that well.
That's the interesting thing as well. Three games of Trick, not even 1 game of Ambition, was just like. And then
Ambition.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't care about Ambition either. But it's just surprising that they played so well with Trick, which is still a new genre.
The final Nunu pick was actually beautiful for the composition in general, by the way. Just like Nunu as part of a Siege comp in general is amazing. Nunu with a Kog'Maw is fucking amazing. Nunu with Kog'Maw and Azir just on the pure basis of the Blood Boil, even if we take away all the zone control he gives, is amazing. And in the final fight of the whole series, it was the Nunu recognizing that all of the knockups from SKT were down and being able to zone them away from the carries in almost the exact same way that Origin like threw against Fnatic. Like, that was the defining moment that actually ended up winning the game. Like, the Nunu pick was beautiful in that game. So,
well, you also had the last team fight. You also had TF and Faker's TF just walk into 3 Sand Soldiers and like get instantly popped by 1 auto attack. He just walked in and just got destroyed.
It was just over the moment that Nunu realized they had no way of interrupting his ult. Like, it was just already over at that point anyway. Like, 5 Drakes doesn't matter.
That's something Pinata keeps talking about. Like, we have all this Azir play, and we have so many jungle bans, but nobody wants to pick up Nunu anymore. But then, Siege sometimes
Nunu's really good.
Yeah, that's the point.
Really good.
He's been relevant the entire year.
But nobody fucking wants to pick him up almost, except Siege sometimes.
There's like 2 or 3 junglers that people are always focused on, but Nunu is always like the 4th guy. Like, hey guys, I still fuck items. I'm just Nunu. I get a lot of health. I push W on a carry, and then I snowball someone. I mean, the slow debuff change has kind of fucked him a bit, but he's still the same fucking annoying champion that helps you secure whatever objective you want. Gives your AD carry or with CJ your Coco, I mean Azir, because he plays the champion so much. You give him free attack speed. And the one thing I want to talk to you guys about and see what you thought about is that how do they not know about Madlife before this? Madlife was dunking on people with Braum, blocking every Ezreal ult before. Like, he has been so phenomenal on Braum in the past 2-3 weeks. How did they overlook this? Like,
there's definitely a mentality of players to say, like, it's not really the pick that's defeating us. We're not just playing properly around it. And probably the fact that they won the first game against the Braum would have accentuated this fact going into the last game, where they would have figured we just have to play correctly. And in truth, they still could have won the last game had they played the last team fight a little bit better. Like, they could have still won the last game. So I'm not even sure if he was bringing up to them, though, but we should have just banned Braum every series, because Mad Life can still have that type of presence on other champions as well.
Yeah, but
it goes to Braum and it goes to Azir. I mean, who the fuck fear? I mean,
Yeah,
yes,
the Azir,
Kalista is a very powerful champion, but who the fuck fears Space?
Yeah,
like Space had that one great play on Sivir in the Baron Pit, like, I don't know, 4 months ago, and now he has since gone back to being Space and is pretty much irrelevant.
Except on Sivir.
Well, then yes, because he can push R and less hit people.
You know, he had 816.
That's all. Honestly, that's all you need. But
yeah, but he did great in damage output and everything.
Why are you banning Kalista and Kog'Maw? Well, I just don't get the Kalista ban against CJ.
Michael,
I just don't get it.
Like a really, really good series, and like a series that I like. Not only did I had the chance to watch live, and a series that I kind of wrote off. Like, oh, CJ will just lose his game, like 0-2. Like SKT beat everyone 2-0. Maybe they'll take. And then when they took a game, I was like, oh wow, that was like in the draft. I was like, oh, this is a really good draft. Ooh, SKT might be in trouble here. And then they won. And I was like, all right, don't worry about it. Like SKT will just sort it out in the game 3. Everything will be like, oh, this is really good. I even posted on Twitter like, SKT might lose the series. Like, it was pretty. It was pretty. Like it was fun to watch them lose. It was fun to watch SKT lose because I don't think SKT are as good as their run makes them seem, because I do think that teams just go full retard and give them wins. Like, I do think they're a good League of Legends team, a fucking good League of Legends team. I just don't think they're like, you know, guaranteed to win worlds. Like, because they just give their teams play full retard against them and give them wins.
Definitely Coup Tigers did. Oh god.
Yeah, Coup Tigers just didn't even bother showing up in the series. They were like, what are playing the series, lads? We don't need. No one beats this team. Let's save all our strategies for another team.
Is this still in part of the show? Yeah, okay. So I came back in the middle of the show. Okay, so good. Can I give one more shout out that I forgot to give in my intro?
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, I also write for the Score Esports right now, at the Score Esports, or at the Score LOL, if you just want to catch up on all of the League of Legends stuff over at the Score. Thank you. Okay, continue. What team are you raging about?
Still SKT.
Coup.
Well, I guess
Coup.
Coup, but
that makes perfect sense.
Let's go. Well, that's actually good. Let's go to Coup versus Najin right now.
The day 4 of last week.
Yeah,
last week,
Coup
week
versus
before
Najin.
that. So
first pick
10, right? Yeah, week 10.
They first
The last,
rotated Braum with both Alistair and Annie banned, which was like really, basically then Najin have to go Janna at that point. So then if they want to lane swap, just Coup immediately have the advantage. I just thought it was really, really smart, because basically they got rid of all of the engaged supports and then picked Braum first rotation. Like, you're fucked at that point. And if you want to have early pressure in a lane swap, you're done.
And they also counterpicked TF last pick, so. With
Yasuo. Yeah.
Even though first Yasuo is pure shit, but you know.
Oh god, this
composition is really good though.
Yeah,
the composition is so good.
The composition is perfect, but that's how they won. So
my only criticism is that it really does lack an element of wave clear if they get behind. But if you get behind with these picks, like, you're mentally deficient.
Well, I don't even laugh at like wave clears. You still got the Rise, you still got the Azir, and you still got the Kog'Maw. Like, between the 3 of them, they can clear.
Whoa! We're talking about Coup versus Najin in game 1.
Oh shit! Okay, fair enough. Moved way on. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, Azir's definitely a source of wave clear. Don't worry. Do not worry. Yeah, no. First game it was. Maokai top, Yasuo mid, Gragas in the jungle, Kog'Maw, AD carry, and Braum support. Yeah. Because all of these supports were down, Najin had to go Janna, and they ended up going. They go like Janna Vayne the bot lane, which has really good synergy on its own, but will never ever win the lane. Like, they go in lane versus this Braum Cog, they're fucked. Like, they're completely dead in the water. Like, so they can't do that. And then they pick Fizz to counter the Maokai, so they need to go standard lanes anyway. So the way that they get around this is they send the Janna top with the Fizz, knowing that Coup are going to be going for the lane swap. I think they saw Ku ward the top lane or something stupid like that, so they knew the lane sort was coming, and then they put like Janna with Fizz in the top lane, and then therefore they kind of stop Braum roaming like he really wants to do. But at the same time, Najin can't roam. I'm pretty sure that they really love to send their support roaming all the time, and then it just becomes a disaster. Like, they do all of these things, and then Vayne's in the 1v1 lane of Maokai. They do all of these things, and then they like push up the lane, and then like they try to do all these things to compensate for it. But in the end, what they really needed was for that Fizz to snowball and win lane, because they have nothing but split push on this composition, and they just failed to do it. They completely failed. And they're just getting destroyed by the end of it. By the end, they literally just sat there watching their turrets get destroyed one after the other, and it's beautiful to watch. It's absolutely beautiful to watch because their comp is so bad, and I just love it when like you see a really super good comp that's just when they've completely outdrafted and outplayed them just works so beautifully.
That's how
like
cool
it was
always.
amazing.
This series kind of like showed like the brilliance and like the sort of the highs and the lows of Ku Tigers. Like the highs, they're a really smart League of Legends team. They really love like tactical drafts, mid game rotations, good team fighting. This is the kind of thing that personifies Ku. But then what defeats them? They're not that great in the laning phase, and they need a really like a solid tactical plan to get out of lane. You know what I mean? Otherwise, they just get wrecked in lane. And like I think Najin kind of hard counter Ku Tigers, which is ironic given the fact that Najin are like sort of like Ku are basically like Najin B team. But I think that Najin are Ku's B team, depending on how you look at it. But I do think that Najin just like have Ku's number because they just like strategically just straight up 1v1 counter them. You know what I mean? Like, just man for man counter them.
Yeah, so the first game they got man for man counter, but the second game they definitely were.
Second game was just Olaf.
Olaf
got going, and it was no one could lane against him.
Love Olaf.
Yeah.
He just ran at you and murdered you.
Olaf right now is super fun.
It made so much sense because I was watching the games like from the most recent games back, and I was wondering why the hell is Olaf being banned there? And then I see this game, and I'm like, oh, that's why Olaf is being banned here because he like gets like a double kill super early on.
Yeah,
it's like part of that's from a really good roam by going. Like he comes up and basically saves the day there, but, like gooing whatever. I always made that mistake.
Don't confuse gooing with that Chinese trash.
My pronunciation is terrible bad. Like I apologize already in advance. And then after that, like they send Alistair up later on, and he just straight up dives the rumble, and then he just dominates the top lane for the rest of the game. And I'm just sat there like, this guy is. It was the closest like. For anybody who's like come here for my truth, like the closest thing you have to imagine like Cabochard having a really good game, and that was what it was like watching Duke play this Olaf. Like it's Cabochard getting like the dream top lane, and that was what I was watching here.
Like I think Olaf's definitely a pick we'll see more of because it annoys me when people say like, oh, it's one dimensional. I'm like, yeah, it is a bit, but what Olaf does, he does really fucking well. Like he will run at everything and just murder everything. Like he's got a good laning phase. And you know what? Like he's good in the 2v1 as well. Like he can land, he can get MCS with them axes like 100% of the time. He can run off into the jungle if he wants to. Like he's an adaptable guy. Like you know what I mean. And he knows what he wants to do as well. He's just got to run at shit. And his Jarvan's gone now.
Even if he is incredibly one-dimensional in that, like, you just send this guy rolling into the back line to fuck them all up, well, that's really good if you're in a really strong poke meta where they're going to be really far back with loads of disengage between you and them. Just have Olaf press R and run. They were augmenting this Olaf with the Sivir as well.
Yeah.
Like, just have him run and dive the back line, and you're done. You're good. You're perfect, unless you leave him to 1v1 Jason in the mid lane, which they did do at some point, which was retarded.
Yeah, but it was a bit iffy.
But like that Najin comp was like was just such a just a Sivir comp. Like it really was like press R, group up, and just run at them. Yeah, and then we just press R and you win. Like that's what they did. Like it was so much fun to watch. Like. I don't know, and Najin did look a lot better now. I do think Najin look a lot better than they have done earlier in the season.
Yeah. Well, they were still picking, like, when they were 3-0 up, they still picked, like, a really bad fight around Drake, where Sivir wasn't with them, Olaf didn't have Ghost, but Olaf teleports down anyway, and then Braum just disengages from them because they've decided to take this fight between the Drake and the red buff. and the Rumble ult just comes down as well, and they all have to retreat. Like they never should have taken that fight, but Ku had a really good position there, and they recognized it, and they recognized that they could keep going with this. And I could just see well, I think Najin are probably better on an individual level here, but Ku are still making the better choices overall, at least in my opinion. Well, someone else step in and tell me I'm chatting shit right now, but that was the impression series.
With the exception of Gorilla, I think that Najin are better sort of man. Well, Kuro versus Goong is a bit of a win as well. Neither of them are good.
Yeah, but neither are really excellent.
But I mean, what are Najin's weak points? They're mid laner and they're jungler. What are Ku's weak points? They're mid laner and they're jungler. So Ku can't get their bot lane to snowball against Najin because of how good Najin's bot lane is. And Smeb can't snowball because Smeb ain't that great in laning phase. He's good at team fighting and he's good at carrying games when he gets an advantage. But he ain't carrying a game against Duke because Duke's a fucking boss in the laning phase. Duke lives for the 1v1 laning phase.
Oh, I could see that.
I reckon how Duke practices League of Legends is he jumps into solo queue, plays a 1v1 lane, wins the lane, and goes AFK. Done this game, lads. He's forgiven of lane. He's forgiven of top lane or something. All he thinks about is the 1v1 lane. His TP ain't great.
Yeah, but
his team fighting is a bit weird.
He's Cabo Shard. If you want to give a direct EU comparison, Duke is Cabo Shard at this point. He is your region's version of Cabo Shard. And
but Duke's been around.
Something that I just wanted to say, because you were saying that Najin were making good decisions here, but they had a really, really, really simple time of what decisions they should be making. Because do you remember when Fizz first started being a big thing in the LSPL? I was talking with Razzleplasm at the time about Fizz, and he described Fizz to me perfectly as side lane control for dummies. And that was basically what Duke became for Najin. And it just literally became, let's just keep our team bot side and get all of these Drakes, which are a huge win condition for Ku, who have the poke comp going. And we can do that, because no one's gonna fuck with Duke on the top lane. That's never happening. It was actually rather simple for Najin to close out once Duke was fucking 3-0 up there, which should never have happened in the first place. So, I don't know, I wasn't impressed by Najin strategically, even when they were snowballing ahead. I was just impressed with Duke. Even when they were winning the team fight around, blue buff, that was because Duke teleports in, and even though Ku have, Braum's just stuck in the middle of all of them, and he has no follow-up, because Duke's just, teleported between them and basically zoned the rest of the team out, so Braum can have no follow-up. I was just impressed with Duke for the whole series. It wasn't really Najin as a whole.
That series was mostly just Najin being way better in all the brawling and the team fighting.
You shouldn't really be impressed by Najin's thinking. They're not very good at comprehensive thinking. So what do you guys think of Olaf versus Riven for counters to basically Rumble? Because they've pretty much all been pulled out for that.
I prefer Olaf.
I prefer Olaf because he can tank, but Riven is... I just take Olaf for the tanking.
Olaf can do a 2v1 better as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't really keep an Olaf down in the same way that you can keep in the way you can keep a Riven down. The real fun is when we're going to start getting these Riven versus Olaf matchups. Then we're back to the Bruiser days, back to the glory days of top lane, where you play top lane with the girth of your penis. That's the real days.
Good old days.
A man's top lane.
Up there. That's the top lane I like to see. Not this AP shit. Leave that to the mid lane pussies. Get the bruisers out. Let's fucking go.
It might happen. They are reworking quite a few champions before Worlds.
Yeah. Darius is going to be back.
That's the best time.
Mordekaiser.
Wait. Darius is going to be back. When was Darius ever relevant?
Well,
in competitive play.
Really brief period in season 2.
Vulcan or XCG used to play him in season 3.
A really brief period in season 2 by North America.
No, season
3. I don't think he was played in season 3.
No, Vulcan, Smitty. Was it Smitty? No, the other guy. Benny? I don't know.
Benny was their top. I
think it was Benny. He used to play a couple. I think it was the top laner before.
Season 3. No, season 4 had no picks.
No, not season 3. Season 3.
Okay.
It was during the regular season. Well, it was
2 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't really that relevant, to be honest.
Coming back from the grave. So, anything else to say about Najin, Ku?
Hope you look good. That's it. I mean, yeah, those series just OQ and Duke, and mostly Duke.
Game 3 was just win lane, win game, like all around for Najin. If you just want to talk about all of them outclassing Ku,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
that was
well,
hilarious.
I don't think Goong outclasses many people.
No,
specifically
but
at Azir, but
OQ and Duke are
yeah.
good enough. And watch like shit on this.
He still played the Azir really well. Like
True.
all he did was chunk the turret down, but that's all you really have to do at that point. And at that point, I could see why Sam really hates Ku, because Sam's always gone on about me about how much he dislikes CLGEU and their whole style of play. And I was just sat there and like, Ku, you are just full CLGEUing right now. You like Ku Tigers now? I was watching this game and I was thinking, I could see why Sam doesn't like this team. They're just playing for the late game, which doesn't really work anymore.
He likes it because they're old. They're Najin players.
I think Ku make that late game style work. Actually, I think if there's any team I kind of like when they do it, and I like how smart they are about the game as well. Like, and I like how they're like they're like an analyst's wet dream of a team. You know what I mean? Like they're not the best individually, except for Gorilla, Beast. But they're just like they're so smart about how they play. I just think it's refreshing to watch, especially season 5, which might have been the dumbest season I've ever watched of League of Legends for its tactical play. Other than season 2, but no, I just think, but no, I do think that like Watch had a really good series in this game as well, and he's definitely stepping up in time. I still think he should be benched, but no, that's peanuts.
Unlucky, really. Whoop, shit. Unlucky, really. Yeah, does Gorilla have something against the bottom lane, by the way? Because he never seems to stay there. Like he's always.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was a really funny point where, while Duke was on Olaf, where he was top lane and Duke just froze the lane in that dead zone that you have on blue side by your top turret. He just freezes it there, and Bum just sat there in the bush like, push, 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 and he never pushes. It's like, how can he know I'm here? Could they possibly have told him I'm not on my lane? Like I never am? I'm sat there like, you're getting fucked here, mate. Like, what are you even doing? Give it up. Just go back to your lane. It needs help. Yeah.
Yeah, well.
So what do we think based on this series? Do we think that Najin and Ku are both still strong playoff contenders, or are we like a bit not sold so much on Ku? Or
well, we can talk about that after this week.
I would say there's only 6 contenders, and one of them after this week is clearly out of the running. So speaking of them, Jin Air versus Samsung in the beginning of the Jin Air, just absolute plane crash.
I mean, they looked okay, but it was mostly because Chaser got Nidalee, and if Chaser gets Nidalee, he just wins a game 1v9. So that's And they fucked up game 1 and threw it, and so Samsung got a win.
Yeah, game 1 was ridiculous.
It's fucking dumb.
There is something wrong with Jin Air's comms. There is something fundamentally wrong with Jin Air's comms. Trace is like just not talking at all anymore. Like you don't even seem. He just. Like, I think the only words he knows how to say these days are Maokai and Rumble. He goes, what do you want to play today? Maokai. But Maokai's banned. Rumble.
To be fair, Maokai's banned. What's position to carry Rumble through?
What's going on in top lane, Trace? Maokai. That's no real help to anyone, is it? Rumble. Rumble. Like, that's all he knows how to say these days. I think he's just devolved. It's like a fucking
I think the big surprise for me is that Jin Air used to be very smart about their objective control and playing around them and setting up beforehand and getting wards down, and they were the ones that started the like 3 or 4 yellow trinkets upgrades with 1 Oracle lens. And just dropping so many wards that doesn't matter how many you sweep, you're never going to get them all. And now to see them basically, it seems like they are 5 random solo queue players after like 25-30 minutes, when that's used to be when they were amazing and they hit the Jin Air zone. Now they're just complete utter garbage unless they can literally just have Chaser initiate the fight or GBM on a random Victor initiate, but please don't initiate on Rise. We'll get to that later. But his Victor flanks are much better than his other champion flanks. But I mean, they just seem to be floundering and falling apart. And yeah, Trace's inability to play champions not named Maokai and Rumble is clearly an issue.
Those are good champions to play. Like, if you can only play two, at least they're in meta.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that an issue. He gets them like every fucking game. It's mostly what everybody else is doing. Like the bot lane right now, I don't even know what generators. Now they went back to Pilot Suite, completely random. It's nice after Che has been played for so many weeks.
What is their preoccupation with this niddly jungle, by the way? Like, what is their preoccupation?
Chaser just carries game. Like,
Chaser's a god on. Chaser's a god.
So utterly reliant.
He is definitely a god.
No, he's super good in teamfights as well. It doesn't even matter against what they play. Like, pretty much.
Is that why they win Evelyn in the last game against? Who was it? Yeah, go on.
No, they had to, because that was a problem. Because they picked Rise, so Gragas was then picked away from them, and then Nilly was banned every game except the first one. They picked it away the first game. Yeah.
It was game 3 Chaser when they're at the bear and they're fighting, and then he jumped in to zone them with Zonias on jungle Nidalee.
Yeah, stuff like that.
No, different game, because they had I forget exactly which game it was, but his Nidalee play is ridiculously amazing.
I mean, he cleans up most of the team fights as well, like with spears and just going.
Chaser is still like the best jungler in Korea, I think. Like hands down. Down.
For now.
Well, he is.
Unless Peanut comes back, like he's the best jungler in Korea.
Well, I'm just saying. I was questioning the Korea aspect of.
Yeah.
Chaser may get on a nice Jin airplane and fly to China.
He's already got that plane ticket booked. He's already like, I'm cashing in, lads. See you later. I didn't make it in the last jungler Exodus, but I'm getting out of here. Well, I think World Elite gonna need a new jungler soon, so I'm just gonna cash in on that train. Like maybe IG or like some other fucking garbage Chinese team will just join.
Garbage Chinese team, holy shit. The hell are you saying, man?
I don't think
maybe Snake can need a new jungler. I don't know. Fucking just cash in. He's not gonna stay. He's not gonna stick around. At least at the very best, he won't stick around on Jin Air anymore.
Do you think Jin Air is gonna be the next? Is basically the new Zinix, where they play pretty well. They get enough to be in the league and be relevant. Take a game here maybe, and then have their players just get disappeared onto other teams. I'm not saying poaching now, but
no, not poaching. We're all against poaching.
If there was any team that had been fucked over by poaching at Zenix, like, and yet nobody gives a shit, like those player acquisitions weren't legit with Zenix, like they were.
Well, the best thing is that whole poach rule came in right as Zenix left the scene.
Yeah.
Like that was the last time Zenix had a team was right before they introduced like you can't poach anymore. And Zenix was like, well, no, fuck it, we're done. They may claim that's true, but not for us. Not for us.
This is how you know that like Riot Korea is like is completely out of bounds for actual Riot, because like they can't do any of their retrospective punishments, because otherwise all the teams would be fucked like by their poaching the Zenix, like fucking it's horrendous. And it's like and you know, like with this whole Elo boosting, like I guarantee there's still loads of Korean players at Elo boost to fuck, like, but Riot can't touch them, like.
Well, apparently Chawi from TPA is.
Oh yeah, that's big. So something he did in 2014.
Yeah, March of 2014, or March or April, I believe I saw on the. Yes, he's banned for. Oh, it just hit today. Chawi is banned for participating in a LoL tournament for at least 6 months. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm glad that Flash Wolves are gonna make it to the World Championship pretty much unscathed now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think poaching is gonna be hilarious if they try and bring it in. Zenix Storm is just gonna pop and be like, "Hey guys, fuck all of you, see you," and then that'd be the only rule. The ruling comes down. So we can move on, I guess, to not the next game, because do we really want to talk about SBENU and IM?
I am just better, you know.
High quality.
Lilac played again for some reason, so just let's skip that. If Lilac plays, I'm even gonna. Well, yeah.
We had Rebels Anarchy versus CJ, where Coco played 2 games of Smite Azrael mid.
He's like the only guy in Korea that makes that work.
We saw, well, again, it's against Anarchy, and they picked literally nothing to prevent it. Both games, they had nothing to stop besides hopefully Mickey can win the lane as Victor game 1.
I mean, I love how Anarchy even banned Braum game 2 instead of trying to maybe pick it away from CJ, so they have something against the fucking Ezreal. But no, fuck that shit. Everybody fucking makes it.
Okay, should we talk about Najin and Samsung?
Yeah, that was actually Friday was a good day. Good
I thought
series.
it was a good series.
Yeah, me too. Some of that.
Like I mean, obviously I watched it, but I think that Najin, like they clearly knew something because they banned Yasuo first rotation, banned it both times, so they clearly knew something about Samsung. Maybe they just were terrified of like Kuro hopping into the booth and playing with Yasuo again. I'm not sure, but like I don't know. I think they just played like just really solid. Like they played like how you want Najin to play, and I do think that like Najin like play quite differently to a lot of Korean teams do because they're not the smartest team, as we've already said, but they just kind of the way they play is sort of more brute force and more kind of team fight and side lane control focused, really. And they really just played that.
This game shows my issue with Goong. Is Goong can play We've seen him play champions to an amazing level, and now he's tried to switch over to a few of the more meta champions, and his Victor is very good. His Azir is not his Victor, and not even in the ballpark of his Victor.
Yeah, but he picks the Azir to stop like the enemy having Azir. Really,
Yeah,
that's why he picks it. He's a competent Azir player. He ain't winning you the game on Azir, but he ain't gonna lose it either. Like,
I mean, that's
I just mean that
they didn't play it.
it's clear that he still is lacking a champion pool. He may be there just to take away champions from the enemy so they don't have it, but he's not gonna play to the same level his Victor is on Azir.
Yeah, but I mean, at least right now he has some kind of pool. Like he can play different. All the meta champs pretty much he can play. Before he couldn't even play them because that was a problem because they had to pick some random shit or Zedigan or Destin just to have him actually have a decent. At least he's playing them right now. It's just something that's useful. I mean, and you don't need Goong. Like you don't ever need Goong. Definitely not the way OQ is playing right now. Is pretty fucking good. So OQ is pretty much every game way more relevant than before now. And Tuku, I mean, he was always relevant, but like now it was insane how good he was this series. How he actually he had I think the highest kill participation in both games. He never died, even against also against Ku week before. He doesn't want to die, so it's amazing how good OQ is playing now right now on champions other than Lucian as well. So it's good to see that OQ is carrying on different champions as well now. Because we're not going to rely on Goong. I mean, Najin's not going to rely on Goong to win, so it's good that OQ is stepping up more.
They don't need to rely on Goong because they've got the best AD carrying career on their team. Like, he just bodies games left, right, and center. Like, he can play Corki, he can play Vayne, he can play Sivir, he can play whatever he wants. Like,
I mean, he bodied fucking Fury in a lane where it's not even a counter matchup. You know, I mean, Fury was playing the counter matchup against him, and then I mean, like that's OQ. Like he doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, he's solo killed Fury. Like he made Fury look like a joke. Like,
yeah, and we actually think he's a pretty good AD carry, but OQ's like, well, fuck you, you're not me.
He is, but yeah, OQ is way better.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, yeah, Najin never needs Goong to win, but Najin needs Goong to not lose for them.
Well, at least he didn't do that.
Yeah.
Serious.
I'm just saying his when you talk about Goong's 3 champions, and then you kind of add Victor to that, I would not even place the Azir in there. Yeah, he's still competent on many other champions, but there's a difference between when he's competent and when he can play his Zed Ahri, and it's just like night and day.
But right now, yes, Victor is pretty good on. TF he's also solid on. He just has to pick in the right matchups.
I think it's definitely Victor TF Azir for when it comes to the strength of his his champions. Well, the champions he's playing right now.
It's something.
It is something, but
it's better than all his assassins we had to deal with before.
Yeah.
He is playing the more defensive kind of mid laners. Man, they're doing well.
It's Gambit. We are talking about Gambit right now. Right now in this talk show, we are just talking about Gambit.
Yeah, but away.
This is a better version of Gambit.
Better Gambits. But
Korea doesn't ban out its best players, so.
That's a Riot difference, not a team difference. But you are basically talking about, and then you start talking about rather than him playing his Zed or his Iron, just sat there like. This is actually Gambit. We are just talking about Gambit right now.
I would still think Goong is way better than any mid laner that Gambit has had since Alexich has retired or left that team.
Come on, don't say Betsy's good, man.
I'm not.
No,
I'm saying Goong is better. Okay.
I'm talking about Michael because he's like.
Betsy is mechanically good but makes poor decisions. He's mechanically though he's very good.
You're describing Goong right here. Like Goong practices more than like the entire fucking NALCS practices. Like, but like his mechanics are on point. His problem is he's a bit of an idiot. Like, and he's a shit Cassiopeia. Like, those are his problems.
I don't know if it's. I think it's more if he wants to carry.
We are describing Betsy and we are describing Goong right now. This is insane.
All I know is when you see Goong play, you can see his desire to carry, and he continuously fails at it. At least currently.
And from personal experience, I can tell you that Betsy works extremely hard every day on his mid lane champ pool. Like, every single day he's playing, like, more than a lot of the Gambit members do. Like, he is so dedicated to improving. He's one of the easiest to work with in Gambit. Like, so we are really accurately describing both Goong and Betsy at this point in time. Right down to what the comfortable champions were, right down to what they have exceeded at in the current meta, and the fact that they play it, but they make dumb decisions with it. Like, and then their side lanes, like, that was Cabochon in the top lane I was just watching, but now you guys are talking about how HQ is still, like, the best bot laner and like, the best AD carry in, like, Korea or something, and I'm just sat there, like, this is Forgiven, like, talking about Forgiven, like.
Yeah, I accept that OP actually carries the team. Well, Forgiven, like, meh.
I think.
You can't carry when you're on the bench.
Forgiven,
Forgiven
I definitely think OQ's
better. I think you should show it.
Come on, he didn't do much in Gambit. Let's see.
It's a bit difficult to do much in this meta, but he does more than enough. He does more than enough. Yeah, he does really well on Sivir right now and on Corki. Especially in terms of damage output.
I'm sure every time he picks Sivir, he enjoys the game thoroughly and doesn't want to eat a bullet.
He found it hilarious when people finally started banning Sivir against Gambit, because it's like people wouldn't even consider this. Gambit still have to ban Kalista because he refuses to play that champion. They still have to ban it.
Also,
play or learn? Or did he or is Thorn right and he tried to play one game and was like, fuck, I'm terrible at this.
It was one of his most played champions in solo queue at one point, but he's convinced that Kalista and Kog'Maw can't 1v5, so he won't play.
Sneaky almost got the one.
You should just show him videos
in the NALCS, okay?
That would probably change his view. Like,
he needs peel, therefore he doesn't like these champions.
The difference is that OQ's pool is just way bigger. He plays Kalista and Vayne as well, plus Kog'Maw plays pretty much everything.
Never tell Forgiven he doesn't play Vayne. No, Forgiven thinks Vayne is bad, but by God he plays Vayne.
I'm not saying he does, but he does never in fucking.
In fact, I really remember a really strong game he had against Prey on Vayne, where he completely wipes the floor with Prey. So he definitely plays Vayne. He definitely plays Vayne.
Yeah,
well, if we're going all
they
in
want
the
that game with the Copenhagen fucking Wolves. Actually, they want that game.
Of Najin, Najin is Gambit. That means they have an irrelevant support then, because Prey, Pure, or Kane or Pure, whatever.
You can tell me then, because Edward, like, he's not irrelevant. He just has a very low champion pool that he can be relevant on. Like, that's basic.
Mean, when it comes to Najin, it's like Pure or Kane, just whatever. There's more issues.
Oh, it doesn't really matter. Okay,
there's bigger issues to fry.
Yeah, they do their job. They do their job well enough.
So one notable thing though, in game 2, we saw our first Korean Elise back, which unsurprisingly was played by Watch.
Elise is so good.
Yeah. Right back into his champ pool.
Yep, that's good for him. I mean,
what did you guys What do you think about the new Elise moving into the jungle?
Well, I think it's great right now with all the changes they made. It's a super strong pick again.
It's a classic example of like a champion being really weak because like it got nerfed and the items all got nerfed around it. But now the items are back, the champion's back as well. Like
and the abilities changed.
The abilities, yeah.
The fact that Cocoon is 1.6 at level 1 is so good right now.
And they gave her spiderlings
magic damage.
So it's really good.
Much damage.
Retarded. And like the thing with Elise, like back in the old days when you were running a siege comp or any comp that wanted to siege around turrets, you would go fresh Elise because you could engage under the turret. And like I see in Korea, I'm assuming from all of the bans and from like the one or two picks that I saw, that like Annie is the big prioritization there, and that's for the very same reason. You can engage under the turret during a siege, and Elise still fills that. Like she's not useless after she completely snowballs every single lane because she can duel every jungler and just has a really, really easy time ganking right now. Like she can transition into being a part of a siege comp in the mid game and the late game and can also work as part of these rotational picks that you see a lot as well.
Because you land the cocoon and then you can just boom 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 shoot them down like a turret, and then like Najin like playing comps where like their idea of a siege comp is more like a turret, so they'll just point the turret at you and just shoot, and then like they'll land the cocoon, shoot more at you.
Basically, like that's what you do. Yeah,
like, that's like they don't play like these long. For them, it's quite a close range because they want you to engage on them because their siege comp is quite engaged focused. Like they'll just poke you down for a little bit and then engage. Like, but they'll just I think so. Yeah. Overall, I think Najin definitely looking a lot better. And definitely looking like they could. I think it's between like the 3 seeds. Yeah, whatever. But I think Najin looking a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, that game also that whole series. Like Duke was actually a lot better with his TP usage, which is something new and that is good. Like seeing Duke having better TPs and just in general, picking up more champs. I mean, it could definitely a lot be worse. I mean, it had good flanks occasionally, definitely normal. I mean. And also that, like, it was not always strategically that great what Najin did, but that last call they made was actually quite brilliant. I didn't even think about it during the game, to actually make that run after killing Kog'Maw just to end the game. With 4 versus 3 end the game, that was amazing. I was like, you should just take Dragon or something and just go back. Like, nope, they just end the games. It's very solid. I mean, they're still...
Yeah, go on.
I mean, stuff like that and the fact they have better TP usage now, it's like, it's something of an upside for them strategically. And if you get Najin to be actually good strategically as well, then Najin could easily compete with a lot of the best teams right now.
I think I just want to go back on the topic then, because you mentioned flanks and Duke got this because there's a tendency in Korea, or so much that I saw, that the top laner would pick champions that weren't necessarily good at getting to the backline, but all of them seem to be really good at being able to flank their opposition, particularly when they were running like a Kog'Maw comp. And the way that the Ku versus Najin series ended was from Duke getting one of these flanks off, but he did it so beautifully. Like, he rumble ults them around the split between Baron and the red buff, forces them around the side of the red buff, and then he flanks over to cut off the Kog'Maw at the back, and that's the only way that they were able to kill Prey. But I just don't understand how he just thought about this in his head, because that's beyond what I'm used to seeing from top lanes in other regions. Normally getting into the back line.
You mean LCS regions? Well, I haven't seen a single TP used with home guard to flank anything on Maokai. Like, what the fuck? How can you not TP with Maokai?
Probably true, but we are in the meta right now in Europe at least, where Cabochard has picked Maokai. Has he picked it this season?
I know he's played a lot more carry tops recently.
And Huni has straight up never picked Maokai. Huni straight up can't even play tanks. Like,
I don't.
People keep talking about Huni's expansive champion pool, but it's like 10 champions that do the same fucking thing in the same fucking way. So
at least he plays Rumble, so they only have to ban Maokai. There's gonna be a problem in the world.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah.
I don't see a champion pick for Cabochard on Maokai.
How did
he did play Gangplank though?
He played Maokai in the playoffs, but he hasn't played it this split. But Cabochard very strongly believes in the carry top lane right now. Or at least the problem with Gambit is that Gambit were always really top focused in their early game ganks and roams anyway, so he may well just have been thrown into this position, but it is a good meta to be in right now, and Hooney's kind of showing that the carry top laners are back, so
in a way, yeah.
It's not terrible that he does that, but yeah, you probably wouldn't see a lot of home guard, teleport, Maokai's because we're just not picking them over here.
I agree that
there may be a different region that does not share the letters EU with the EU LCS that fails to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah, but it's failed to do anything right now. So.
Yeah, but NA right now fails. Full stop. Just end the sentence there.
I mean, I get carry top lanes are greatly partially back now, but I mean, if you can't play Maokai, it's not good. Because Maokai is still massively used in team fights. The shit that he can still pull off, it's dumb for a tank.
So long
it's almost like they gave him the best item in the game, and then haven't been trying to nerf it down without realizing that it's the active ability that makes him strong.
But they nerfed that too.
Cough Righteous Glory. Well, all they did was reduce the cooldown it has. Oh boy, I'm glad Teleport has a 5-minute cooldown, and this doesn't have a 5-minute plus cooldown, so that is irrelevant. So like, as long as it's shorter than whatever Teleport is, he'll still be fucking useful.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you want to move on to KT versus Ku?
Yeah.
I would say pretty fucking interesting game.
Really good series. Really good series.
I can't believe the comeback.
Oh, it's this one. Holy shit. Yeah.
Oh
god, no. I was getting cancer towards the end for some of the builds though. But yeah. No offense to people who have cancer.
But before we get to the game 2, like in game 1, KT really like, showed like a really kind of a lot of depth that I kind of earlier in the season kind of wrote them off, and like they're really making me eat my words, and I hate it when teams do that. But like, you know, I dismiss KT, and
yeah,
you know,
they're back, dude.
They're back.
I don't think I ever saw Soomdae's Rise have a flash that wasn't aggressive. Like, it was fucking incredible to watch, to be honest.
He does that a lot.
Oh, like, holy shit, this guy is one hell of an aggressive top laner. Like,
it's amazing what one player change can do for a team.
Yeah, Peekaboo's beast, like 100%.
Has
he's
completely changed what they are.
I think partly.
Yeah, shot calls.
I think it's him and Score.
He has to
but
be.
I think he is very vocal on it. So I mean, from everything I've heard about Peekaboo, he's always been vocal.
Yeah.
He was setting up so many of the plays in that first game. Like, there was that point where Peekaboo roams mid to try to counter when Annie roams mid, and then Annie stupidly burns her stun off, like, onto the side over here, and then Peekaboo's like, yeah, okay, we go in on this, that's fine. He does that, and then he deep wards the jungle, like, really well. He knows that the jungler's top side. He sets up a dive in the bot lane, and Soomdae does this pin-perfect, like, teleport to cut off the Corki that's trying to run away like a bitch. And, like, by the time Nidalee gets there, it's, like, all over. But this whole thing was just set up by Peekaboo, and it was really beautiful to watch. And I said, like, this guy has to be, like, shot calling for this team, because wherever Peekaboo was, a play would be set up, and it would be set up generally by Peekaboo's decision-making, which was sublime throughout the whole series. And there was another point where I saw Soomdae doing a really, like, aggressive he did a flash prism on a Nidalee. They didn't even get the kill, but like, and there was no way he could have thought like, we're definitely getting this kill, but he still just went for it. Like, I should at least run away if nothing else. Like, holy shit. Like, when they were doing a Baron really later on, he was like sentrying around the side, around the top there, and just blows up Nidalee.
Peekaboo, his level 1 roams as well are really interesting as well. The way he just walks into the mid lane at level 1, like with like Thresh or something, like, hi, I'm here, guys. I'm gonna fuck your shit up. Like,
it's that he doesn't do it. He does it sometimes, but he doesn't do it often enough. Where you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to sit back for the first 3 creep waves and fall behind early at level 1 on this fucking mid lane. But he's just still in the back of your mind, like, oh shit, is he gonna be coming? Is he coming? Yeah. Oh, I can see him in lane. Thank God, I can go for the creeps now.
Yeah. No, he's mind games that he plays with people as well, like the way that he like sets up vision and the way that he kind of like moves around the map. Like you can tell a lot of it is like preconceived and like really kind of like he's really tactical when he plays the game. And, you know, like a top 3 player in Korea right now, really. Like when you look at his sort of ability to play the game and the kind of the scenarios he creates and even his mechanics as well are just kind of, you know, are impressive. Like he's it's like Dom's wet dream right now. Like,
and he's now gone.
Can we talk about like how Ku are supposed to be this really strong strategic team, but they fuck pick bans so hard in this first game?
yeah,
Like sometimes they just turf like fuck during big
They-
bans.
Yeah.
They get Victor, that's all well and nice. They get the Kalista, I guess that's okay. But they're against double tier. Their Kalista goes Bloodthirster instead of going Runans first when they clearly want to be playing around these early game skirmishes and around the lane pressure that they have.
I think that's just a Korean thing.
Yeah,
Where I don't
Koreans
think I've
always
seen
go
a single
Bloodthirster.
Korean
Well, they-
Kalista build Runan's Hurricane first.
Runans,
Yeah.
you go Runans, like, okay, it's fine if you're going to go Bloodthirster, if you're looking to win fights later on, and if you have, like, something else to carry you through the early game. But if you're against, like, a double tier, you abuse that.
Yeah.
You go the Runans, you force the early skirmishes, and you abuse the fact that they're going double tier. And then, on top of this, they've gone with this Nidalee jungle, which I don't understand why Korea is prioritizing so much for this very reason. There's no Aegis on their team versus Ryze and Cassiopeia, and I'm just sat there like, this is not ending well for you guys, like, at all. And then you have, like, Cassiopeia with Merc's Treads and Abyssal Scepter. Like, you can just straight go Abyssal Scepter. Obviously, you're going to be building that against Victor anyway, but the flat pen is worth so much more because they're never going to have an Aegis of the Legion. And these guys can now... Also, if you're going Nidalee in the jungle, then you're also going to have less hard engage and less hard tanky sets on your team just by default because you've got Nidalee. So when they go Merc's Treads, then whatever you have got in the top lane is worth so much less. And because there's so much less pressure on them to build so much damage items early on, they can go like third item QSS and shit like this and just mitigate that so hard. Like, there's just no point going Nidalee in the jungle if you're going to be...
Well,
it's not in this meta. You need an Aegis. You need it.
It's where they picked her. They picked her second round red side.
Yeah, second rotation.
And they already had Ryze top. So you see Ryze, Gragas, and Corki. When
Yeah,
after
Ryze,
that,
Gragas,
I can't agree with the Nidalee pick either. I mean, Jin Air does it a lot earlier. Usually, it's if they're red side, they pick it first rotation, and if they're blue, they usually pick it second rotation right after the first pick. But yeah, when you see the 80 carry as Corki, they have a Ryze who's most likely top lane. Kuro is not really known for Ryze. And you have a Gragas. So you at least have 3 AP sources, even if they pick an AD mid laner. You really can't go with that point. You have to pick Nunu, pick Evelyn, any champion that can build.
Yeah, go. Sorry.
Anyone that can build the Aegis, because it is specifically with Corki in the team, it cuts his damage so much because of his rockets and his phosphorus bomb.
Yeah.
But
Or have Mundo build it. Why didn't Mundo build it? Like, I get he's going to have to delay his armor if he builds it, but why not just have Mundo build it? He's against so much AP anyway. Just have your fucking Mundo build it. I mean, especially when they have a Ryze, which is going to shred MR anyway, and they have the Abyssal going with the Ryze and with the Corki and with everything, and they're just abusing the fact you don't have this Aegis. Just build the Aegis on the Mundo. Just do it. Like,
Yeah,
well,
one
getting
thing you
focused,
definitely
too.
get about like Korean teams is top laners play really like kind of self-focused. So like the idea of a Korean top laner building like a team-focused item is quite sort of, I think that's almost unheard of in Korea due to how proud Korean top laners are. Like it's just a meta thing. Like, you know, when you question stuff like Nidalee and stuff like that, like these are like a lot of Korean players have a big ego on them and like, you know, want to carry a game and aren't as team focused as you might see players in other in that kind of sense. But they'll be a lot more team focused in other ways. Like you'll find that mid laners in Korea are a lot more team focused, and you'll find that supports, like, you know, Korea is quite ahead of other regions generally in its support play, and its warding and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't think you'll ever see a Korean top laner build Aegis. It's like, you know, like, I mean, yeah, like it's a weakness, and it's, you know, what you're saying has merit to it, but it's just. Again, it's just a region-specific thing.
This Ryze built a QSS before he built a Void Staff and soloed Mundo. That is how fucking bad it was.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm not.
It's a bit of an understatement at how bad this game got. These guys had like 3 Merc's Treads on them, a QSS, like, it's stupid. Like, you get this composition, like, it should be done the moment that they start building Aegis of the Legion and Banner of Command, like, but that never happened. Just never happened.
Still it would have enough damage with all the penetration ads.
Purely because of the rise. Purely because of the rise.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
they went double tier. I mean, you know they're gonna have plenty of damage late game even to kill a Mundo. Yeah, they were playing 2 hyper carries late game. Both AP, but it doesn't matter if you have enough penetration.
It's just like when you play against 2-tier comp, you know you have a giant window of opportunity, and if you don't take it, you're probably fucked, because once they get the 2 tiers completed and they start getting other items, it's just by the time they get the 2 tiers completed, they have enough items where you probably are going to lose in team fights.
Yeah.
Well, Ku got a Baron at one point, and it just didn't matter because the tiers had already come in, the Rod of Ages had already come in and stacked. Like, it just didn't matter. Like, KT could just wait it out. Like, it's just so bollocks.
The biggest thing about this is that KT got 4 dragons that game compared to Ku's 1.
Oh, yeah.
How do you not get early dragons with Nidalee and with versus tier?
Because Wisdom...
Your Kallista's built Bloodthirster instead of Runen, so you don't have as much skirmish
Well,
pressure.
even then, you can... I mean, I think you have pretty good skirmish with just a Bloodthirster and Callista. You can easily pick one target and blow it up with Annie stun Callista.
There was a distinctive lack of pill for the Callista as well on the team. Like, you had the Annie, but other than that, what else did you do? You had, like, the Mundo maybe, but that was about it. Like, there was a
Mundo
distinctive
really doesn't
lack
offer
of pill
peel.
for the Callista.
No,
Mundo walks in and
Yeah.
carries.
Yeah, like, there was just such a lack of peel on this team for that Callista anyway, so the fact that she wasn't even building properly given the situation just angered me a little. And this was also the time when Leona didn't go Talisman and didn't go Righteous Glory. I was just sat there like, if you have a Rise or Cassiopeia, augmenting those champions is super strong. That's why Civ is so good with these. That's why Talisman's so good with these. So Righteous Glory is so good with these, and neither of those came out from Peekaboo.
Yeah.
I didn't want Ku fans to think I was just pooping all over their team because I don't like their playstyle. Like, KT also made some issues in their build path, so I'll just throw that out there. Like, yeah, that also kind of pissed me off.
Double locket was a bit weird. Just get
the double locket.
Get a banner or something.
I think Peekaboo does build tankier than just because he likes to go in, and he knows he is one of the initiators with score.
Sure.
So just build tank. So you want to get to the ridiculously amazing game that only had a combined 18 kills?
In my notes, I always put like the ending of this game in like a box, and I just want to show you what that box says for this.
Dick.
That's the ending of the game for me.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That was Ku pulling my favorite of playing like Jin Air and playing, oh, we can't go in, we were missing one ultimate, but it's a quirky ultimate. It'll be up in 10 seconds. No, we can't go in, we got to back, guys. Like, waiting for every ultimate before you go in. They had so many chances to really close that out, and they kind of fumbled them in late game shot calling, and KT was able to get the fight they needed that was pretty much avoided by Ku up until then, and Kog'Maw went off and survived with the slimmest margins, the absolute slimmest margins.
That Jenna shield at the end was just like...
Well, that was basically all on Sunday as well, getting an absolutely beautiful flank off into the back line that split them up.
Sunday was so good.
He never stopped trying. Like, I was like, holy shit. Like, when they were sieging the bottom inhibitor turret, like, he also just dives in again. Like, fuck this, I see it. I'm going in, guys. Just dive in. It's like Young Buck, if, like, I could respect Young Buck. Like, he didn't give a fuck. He just goes all the way into the back line. I'm like, this man is actually beautiful. The amount of testicles he has is glorious. Like, and
it's Korean top laners for the most part.
Especially as I was getting gradually more and more angry at this Kog'Maw, who was like at one point he like towards the end. This is where like first I thought they were going to end the game at this point because they had like 40-second death timers. Like Kog'Maw just surges up mid with no wards on any of the flanks or seven, just gets blown up. It's like, what the fuck do you think's going to happen? They just surge up again. I was convinced they were going to lose there, and then like the Echo gets like a 4-man stun off or something like that. That saves the whole game.
Yes.
Score, yeah. I was sat there thinking, now I know why Emily really likes this guy.
Yeah.
He really didn't want to lose.
He's actually quite amazing as this genre.
His progression from changing from AD carry to jungler has been pretty impressive to watch the entire time. He took a bit of a decline, and then Fixer came in, and he started to look a bit better. And then Pickaboo came in, and you're like, holy fuck, it's Score from like the first part of the spring season when he was literally everywhere on the map, and every win KT had was because that man just was like, that's it, I'm winning this game.
Yeah. He's definitely evolved from his Rengar one-trick pony, you know.
Oh, God.
That was a Rengar one-trick pony?
Yeah,
He had some moves at the end on the Nexus. He had some moves. Like, no, that guy is just mechanically strong in general. I wouldn't have thought he would be like a Rengar one-trick.
For jungle, yeah. And he can't play his AD carries and not die. But that game was pretty impressive. But yes, it was. I would suggest that's probably the game to watch of the past 2 weeks, or at least it's the series too.
I think the whole Friday is good to watch. To be honest.
It was just really, really good play. And the issue I had was the Smeb buying Rylays over Azonias is pretty questionable.
Yeah, Riley shouldn't be a priority item anymore. Riley should be last item if you even want it on Rumble.
I really liked KT's draft in this game though. Like they first rotate the Cogmore, but that was one of the few situations when they knew they could do that, and that explained the Olaf ban that I was really confused about at first. Like, why are you even doing this? But I really liked the Echo pick that they were doing, because you just like you can't really get poked out as Echo, and they seem to have anticipated that Ku were going to go Corki anyway. Like I have no idea why you would go Corki into so they
and then loves Corki.
And then the comp that they got with the Echo was just beautiful. Like a Maokai is like a free lane for the Echo to then go and get fed in if he wants to. Like parallel convergence with Maokai, like that's just kind of bollocks, to be honest. Let's never do that. Lulu is a super easy lane for any jungler to gank, doubly so with the Echo, and then the Echo just had like free reign later on, and it's just such good pill for the Cogmore. He is a peeler and a diver who doesn't really care about the poke that's coming at him. I really liked the Echo pick, and the way the Score played it was really beautiful, even if I am levying so much praise onto Sunday for his glorious flanks. Like I do think Score.
I mean, he didn't even fucking die that serious.
Cogmore did not.
With the no Sivir ban, it was pretty interesting because Prey's two biggest champions are Corki and Sivir, and I thought Sivir was banned, but I'm wrong. I mean, so they could have seen Corki, but
I guess I wanted Corki to beat Arrow, but we see that happen a lot, but in general, the Cogmore wins at the end anyway.
Yeah.
You have to be really good, so you have to be OQ good on Corki to be.
Well, the Cogmore had Janna and Lulu protecting him, like.
That's the point, like. But yeah, you wanted to win early, of course, not late. I mean, that's useless. You want to stomp with the Corki on the Cogmore early.
Going Janna over Braum was quite smart, like predicting the Annie pick and then going Jan instead. That I just thought was quite smart. Just throwing out there.
Yeah, I love the Janna pick a lot more than anything else I've seen with the Skogma.
That's another champion that Gorilla's played a lot of. He's played a lot of played a lot of Annie.
Yeah. I mean, he was the trendsetter, right? Oh no, yeah, never mind.
Well, Annie could still. Yeah, well, Annie, like, if they were to get a lane swap off in this situation, Annie would just outroam Janna like fuck. So, and that's just the type of thing that Gorilla seems to really like to do. He hates his laner, I guess. Fair enough, I guess. Your laner didn't really look that good, so whatever.
Gorilla supports the whole of Ku Tigers. He doesn't support just Play, he supports everyone else.
That should be what Wisdom's doing though, but Wisdom's just sat here dying to red buff. Like, I don't know what you're doing here. You've really messed up your pathing at some point. But yeah.
Still better than Hojin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was slightly painful. Hojin just misses stuff. He still had the right idea at least.
I think the meta is going to eventually favor Hojin soon. If they come back to moving, if it stops being so tank focused, I think Hojin could come back. But as long as it remains tanks, I don't think he has too much of a chance.
No, if he has to
play
hit
better than
Wisdom.
Well, he can hit skill shots just like anyone else on Lee Sin, but it's when you're not playing Lee Sin that becomes more difficult. So you guys want to move on to IM SKT for the brief second we are on IM versus SKT.
I just mostly want to point out that game 1 took so long to finish just because, Tomini soon. They started the game well, but man, closing it out was a fucking bitch for them. They're just not that good, and you see how SKT really needs Faker and Bengi to be that elite level team that goes 17-0 or whatever.
Yeah.
In best of series.
We're talking about Easy Hoon's clearly better than Faker.
Yeah.
I heard it from LoL Esports.
Sure.
There are very few teams that seem to warrant SKT's respect to actually bring out the Faker Benji combo for a whole series, like Fnatic for example.
Okay.
Actually, only Fnatic, only example.
Remind me what happened in Game 5.
Huh? What happened was SKT finally managed to overcome Featherton's rookie split.
Oh, I thought it was when SKT was like, "Oh, we should be playing this game, guys." Not pretending to play.
Sure. Oh, I'm sure. Oh, yes. Okay.
So yeah, Spooky didn't look as bad as. Okay, he didn't really look that great.
He didn't look good. It's like fucking Bang really wants to practice Vayne for Worlds for some reason. I guess because China's very popular.
He's practice.
Yeah, so yeah, he's literally just playing it every game because he's so bad on it. Oh, he's actually not good on it. So yeah, he's just playing Vayne the whole time. So, yeah.
I think it's this weird SKT trying to sort of fake look how much our AD carry likes Vayne. You should definitely ban Vayne. Please ban the Vayne. Please ban Vayne.
Maybe they just really want to make him a Piglet again. Or something?
I think they're practicing it for their comps because their comps were still really good. Even when they lost to CJ, they shouldn't have lost the last game. I still think that comp was fine. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, it's okay.
It also might be that they're allowing the players to play a little bit more
game.
of what they want to play now that they pretty much are secured.
Yeah.
They are secure. They're going to Worlds.
They hadn't used Bang and Izun in a while, so.
If you're securing Gragas, Vayne is still really, really good. Just in general. You did the problem with the Vayne counter to Sivir, which I'm assuming they're anticipating all the Sivir at Worlds, is that you need to find a way to transition it into the mid to late game, where you'll generally get fucked by all in Sivir comps anyway, even if you counter the Sivir.
I think it's more than just this counter Sivir. Just Vayne is good because it's a good. He's actually still one of the only tank busters still left in the game, except Cosmo.
Yeah.
With some self peel, that's the whole point. Because right now, you play Sivir late game against tanks, you cannot kill shit. It's fucking horrible. Full tank Gnar just fucks you up. It's insane. You cannot kill it. And Vayne is also so easy because you can build double lifesteal without any problems, super early even. And double lifesteal is just awesome against Stormmail stacking and stuff.
Kog'Maw is the only hyper carry that matters, lads.
Yeah, that's actually true.
Kalista.
That's not hyper carry late game. But only.
Who did you say?
Kalista.
Kalista? It's not.
Kalista is not a good hyper carry late game. But it's still a good carry though late game. But it's not the same.
It's not a hyper carry.
No.
So we can move on to the death of generic Green Wings playoff hopes, and Najin securing at least 5th place.
This is beautiful comedy, guys. This is beautiful comedy.
The first win.
The
first win of SBENU, and the player whose name is Catch, who should not be named Catch, should be named Caught, because game 1 was fucking awful from them, and then they won with fucking Jarvan AD mid.
I just knew that.
Yeah, it was.
I was just new there. They picked that Jarvan they're gonna lose to this cheese somehow. Even though when GBM was ahead, they're gonna lose. Can't handle this cheese, GBM.
I still think SBENU are really shit, but
they are
really shit about
Dude, they lost against IM 2 days before that. 3 days.
SBENU can play. SBENU are pretty much. Hey, Soaz looks pretty good, but he's not great,
okay.
But he looks pretty good for his team. He's last year's Frozen. He's got some good games. He's not the greatest mid lane player by far.
Who's Frozen then?
Even in the region, but at least he's clearly the best looking player on the team. And then Janair's like, hey guys, we're just gonna fucking let you have the win. We're gonna walk in your jungle without wards, even though we're Janair and we usually always had wards, and we're gonna have Ryze walk around and just let you kill him. Game 3 and God damn, watching these games was fucking awful.
It was mostly also the last fight because the last fight GBM actually suicided.
The last fight was glorious.
GBM literally it was like right they got that pick on Sweet, And then they had an okay skirmish 45 afterwards, and then like when they were retreating, GBM was like, fuck it, no, I'm gonna 1v2 against both their carries, and I'm gonna win this. And he got utterly stomped by Nuclear and Assassin in his face. Like, I don't fucking know what GBM was doing that whole game. It was
desperation,
horrible.
I guess. But like they were really pressured super hard. Like I think you guys are really trivializing how well SBENU were playing their comp in Game 3.
Well,
They were playing it
as
super
well, but
strong.
Jin Air was playing complete dog shit.
And for me, okay, okay. Jin Air had very limited options though when it got to that stage. When it got to that stage for the last 10-20 minutes anyway of the game, like, I feel they had very limited options. They couldn't flank with the Evelyn for two reasons. Number one, Sweet was actually warding very well, and number two, if they did, as they had started to learn, like in the first after the first Drake fight, like if they flank there, Annie is just going to stun the other three, and everyone's just going to collapse on them. And that's all that's going to happen every single time. And so they were able to use this Annie to counter the flank that is otherwise required to get rid of siege comps like SBENU's, while using Annie's engage to actually accentuate the siege comp itself. And like I just thought that was beautiful, and their support was warding marvelously anyway. Like I don't like to kind of trivialize this as just Jin Air through, even though GBM was like prime time comedy towards the end. Like SBENU played that game, really controlled them really well, and I actually think like it's testament to what you have to do in your region to actually to win a game at all against the better teams. You have to play really controlled. You can't just rely on throws all the time.
Yeah, but it was also good how like the Silverult totally every time they tried to flank, the Silverult negated it because they then collapsed on the other part or on one of the two, so the flank was always too slow to catch up.
Yeah.
It's something you can also expect from Jin Air, is that we've seen in many games Chaser's played Evelyn, and he's been like one of the only players to go the super long flank in order to dodge every ward and everything and get clearly behind them when they're like, that should be impossible.
Yeah.
Secret Soul.
That's
like,
the point of Evelyn.
Secret was always...
I just mean, it's something that you can easily abuse because you know he's going to do it. So you can understand that if you're if you're around Dragon, it's been almost 30 seconds to a minute of posturing, you know he's going to be flanking you from one side. So if you just go all in on the other four people with the Sivir ult and Flash Tibbers, you're going to get a couple kills before Evelyn can hit you and engage for them.
Okay, well, Evelyn also had like a really strong time in the early game because basically every lane she had could dive, and Evelyn loves to dive because she can get into a position to flank easily, and her ultimate just grants her so many good stats for those dives, and she had a really easy time of it in the early game. The composition was really good for it, and like I heard, I think it was Monty like criticizing that they went to Evelyn when they should have gone Echo, but Evelyn was, in theory, perfect for what they were attempting to counter here, because when you first rotate Victor, you know you're going to be up against Siege. When you first rotate Victor Gragas, you are 300% going up against Siege, and you can't really pick a Sivir now anyway, because Victor just does so well against all the Sivir comps no matter what. So they secure the Sivir for themselves.
But they
secured the Sivir for themselves. They managed to augment their Annie, augment their Engage, augment their Victor. And it was just a beautiful composition they did, and a beautiful outplay that they did in the draft race for it. But Jin Air's comp wasn't out by any means. It had a good purpose. It just got countered.
Yes. I also don't see Jin Air picking Echo after what KT did to Chaser on Echo. Week 9, where they completely just pushed his shit in and won a game within the first 2 minutes by killing him and stealing his entire jungle multiple times.
That was sad.
Well, there you go.
But I mean, still, I think Jin Air should have picked. They should have picked away the Sivir. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like Sivir synergizes well, but with both Victor and Ryze, and not picking it, even though it's not that great against Victor, is not good because they should have secured it for themselves to not rely on GBM alone on the Ghost to engage and stuff.
Well, it could be Pilot again. Pilot has pretty much been a champion.
He also plays Sivir. Like, we have seen him play Sivir before. Like, I don't. Yeah, and they fuck this.
Well, I guess he's played it more now, but I mean, like when Pilot was was playing very great in spring, he pretty much was playing two champions.
Yeah, that's true, of course. I don't get it. Why didn't they bring in Jack at the end, or and Shay? Why didn't they just? They fucking swap so much, and this series they were like, nope, we're not gonna swap.
Yeah.
They've lost series by swapping, and this series they just didn't want to swap, and then they lost it as well. So I don't fucking know.
I mean, SBENU is
All
bad.
rosters are
Yes,
really
they
fucked
played
up,
pretty
yeah.
well. Yeah, their roster's no. Jin Air's roster's pretty weird.
Yeah.
But I mean, SBENU is bad. They played great, played really good for that game, and Jin Air also has been playing pretty poorly. But I would give them that. Yes, SBENU picked a comp and they played it well. It's the same thing that Samsung has started to do in the beginning, early of this season. Is they've been able to pick a comp and play to it. But I still don't think SBENU is worth having a 10th seed in Champions.
Yeah.
Still not worth really watching Spanish games. Like,
No. No.
Watch.
Unless you want to see like,
Ignore them. Watch
unless you want to see a Vel'Koz pick randomly. But no, I mean game 3 was good, but I would still. Jin Air just played so poorly.
I mean, GBM is just the fact that they first picked that Rise just killed me.
They
How the hell
they
did you
had
do
good
that?
scaling, but they actually had a really bad late game team fight.
Yeah.
The win they picked anyway. Like they just
So-
they would have lost even if GBM hadn't decided to marry the front line, his one true love. Like I still think they would have lost at that point.
Yeah, they're just a better comp.
If you want to talk about a foe, you could talk about game 2 because I left that game to go and make lunch because they won this super hard team
Yeah.
fight 15 minutes into the game, and I was like,
Baron
this
pick.
game is over. This is completely over. This job, they've waited. The Jarvan is outscaled. They stick with the Braum. It's over. This game is done. I come back and they've lost, and I'm like,
yeah.
Yep. I would do exactly the same thing.
like what?
Pilot wanted to do his best Woolite impression there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just separates himself away from the Braum, and the Braum was the only thing that's keeping him alive all the time. Like the Jarvan wasn't a threat so long as the Kog'Maw was next to the Braum, and then he just like fucks up. I don't even fucking know what's going on in this last team fight. Like he just fucked.
Nobody knows.
Yeah, it should have just been so easy for them though. Like Victor just completely destroys Jarvan later on. Just wait for him to scale up, and you can do that because you have a fucking Victor. Like, you don't want that wave going near your turret. That wave's not going near your turret. You're fine. You're done. Like, it's all good. It's all good. Just wait and win. And then they waited, and then they lost, and that's like halfway to what I'm saying, but that's not like all the way, and all the way gets to like the win part, which is a bit important, guys. I just that was a foe. That was a foe.
Yeah.
So do you want to go on to talking about the guest topic, or should we move on to talking about the next week or the pretty much top 5
No,
because Jinner's pretty much out.
Let's leave the next week thing for the last part.
Okay. So is there a specific topic you wanted to bring up that's relevant at all to League? Doesn't have
I
to be
wanted to
specific.
compare. I wanted to compare some of your players to their European counterparts, but then I went on about how Duke was Cabo Shard already, so that's like Duke's Cabo Shard, by the way, guys. Like, one way or the other, like if you just want to switch between one of the regions, just view Duke as Cabo Shard or Cabo Shard as Duke, and you're basically there. But apparently, you can view the whole of Najin as Gambit, and you've basically got the same fucking team. So everything.
Just realised I'm a massive Gambit fan. I'm even wearing a red T-shirt. It's all over, boys. Like,
Wow, that's it. Okay, yeah. Peekaboo, because I was getting the impression he was shocked when he was setting up so much, and he has a fetish for Leona. I would compare him a lot to Yellowstar, especially in how much he appears to have bought KT, and the way that you guys are talking about him, and the way that apparently like Score was like going into mediocrity and then suddenly surges back when Peekaboo's added to the roster. Well, Rainover is very reliant on the synergy with Yellowstar as well in terms of deep warding, which KT seemed to engage in a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
before
think in terms of controlling the map and controlling the game, in terms of being everywhere, I would definitely compare Peekaboo to Yellowstar, and perhaps in terms of impact, but I can't really say for definite.
Score used to do pretty much all the warding himself in the spring split, and then Fixer came in and started doing a little bit, but the warding
Hachani
you
wants
can
to
see.
be on wards.
What?
Hachani used his space to wards.
Yes, Hachani doesn't understand what wards are. He used to just pretend he liked to cosplay as one. But
And he envisioned the bush. I'll just walk into it. That will get me vision of the bush. Well, they're in that bush, boys.
The difference in play you can see between Score and Peekaboo and Score before Peekaboo, just the way he was playing is almost night and day, and it's been amazing to see so quickly how one player change can really magnify the team and pretty much take them from what we thought was playing for the last spot against Najin and Jin Air into pretty much second or third place team. But yeah, definitely second. I would say second best team in the league right now.
Clear.
Okay, so I'll stand by that. So I couldn't really see any mid other than Faker that was worthy of being compared to any European mid whatsoever. So this was getting a bit difficult, and all your junglers are just shit. So I was thinking,
I don't think you're gonna get much pushback on the jungler aspect, but
well, Chaser's still better than anyone.
So how about I was thinking, all right, how about I compare the way that Faker and Benji play to the way that Alexich and Diamond Prox used to play with each other. Particularly in the first CJ game, it was basically dominated by the fact that Faker was able to push up on this Victor and able to make all of these calls that he had to, because Benji was affording him so much vision in the mid lane and so much control around the mid lane without essentially like perma-ganking or anything like that. He just offers him loads of control in that lane. And that's what Benji is facilitating for Faker. And that is basically what Diamond Prox was always doing for Alexich. He turned mid lane into this island for Alexich. And then Alexich botched him around because Diamond is actually... Just want to throw this out. The Diamond's actually my favourite European player of all time. But like Alexich was certainly the boss of him, and he wouldn't have gotten as good as he became without Alexich. But the playstyle that I saw between Faker and Benji was so reminiscent of the playstyle between Alexich and Diamond Prox. I just had to give out that comparison because all of your junglers are shit, and I can't really bring myself to compare them to a European jungler because I don't want to call any European jungler shit right now except for Lulex. Sorry, Lulex, but you removed me from your friends list, so fuck you.
I would say that like Bengi is kind of like a mid laner's wet dream as a jungler. You know, like he'll give you loads of vision. Like he'll allow you to kind of like he'll just allow you to play a 1v1 game kind of thing. Like he is the perfect jungler for Faker, realistically.
Way in here. Gonna smooth my way in here. A mid laner's wet dream is exactly how Incarnation described Diamond Prox. Word for word, that's how Incarnation described Diamond Prox for the same reasons.
So what would you call Watch then? If Bengi is a jungler's wet dream, is Watch just a salty discharge?
Watch reminded me of Dexter.
Because like Watch is just Bengi, just not as good.
Watch appeared to be more like a camp-heavy jungler to me, and Watch also appeared to not understand pressure in the way that you really have to in the current meta. So I was thinking of Dexter every time I saw Watch play. I just didn't really see him have a solo impact on any lane, to be honest.
Whenever Watch plays, he clearly wants to do something. You know what I mean? He's clearly trying really hard to be a good League of Legends player. He's really giving it his all. But it just doesn't really work out for the poor kid, and I feel bad for him. Sometimes I feel bad for him. Sometimes I don't. But I just feel like he really wants to do something in that game. He really wants to carry, or not even carry. He really wants to just support his team and make them all look good. And sometimes it just backfires on him.
I never see a Watch gank and think that was all Watch, and I can basically repeat that with Dexter. I never see a Dexter gank and think that was all Dexter. No, my God, Dexter, true. You're so good. And like Dexter would have these instances where like there was a game diss split on Evelyn where he went 3-0 in the top lane in JWoww's top lane. It didn't matter because he had made no effort to apply any pressure to the Drake, actually do anything to put the opposing top laner behind after ganking. He had not really done anything except for get 3 kills on the scoreboard, and they lost control of the game and they lost the game in general. Like, you're trying, and you're really good, and that probably works really well in solo queue, but you don't really understand pressure. Like, that's your issue. That's always been your issue.
It's kind of bad for Watch to like fail in fundamental areas, given how much experience and how long he's played the game and how he's meant to be the team captain of Najin as well. And like, he's not going to get any better. Like, he's already played League of Legends for what, 4 years now. He's been a pro gamer for 7 years. Like, he ain't getting any better now. Like,
I have a lot of respect for Watch, and I have a lot of respect for Dexter. It's just like You're not getting this. You're not Svenskeren. You're not taking over an entire portion of the map because you recognize the win objective is there. Like
Watch
you're
is
not
never gonna not build tank. I don't think I've seen a game where he's not gotten kills and then put it into tanky items.
There were some times when Rengar was just like when the Rengar rework was just live, and the three big Rengar players in Korea was like Kakao, Dandy, and Watch. Surprisingly, and Watch had some games where he put like Blade of the Rune King and split pushed on Rengar a lot. There were definitely some games where he did that, but that was so long ago.
Just because you're going to build tank does not mean you cannot take over a portion of the map early on because you're that fucking good. Like Svenskeren did that on Echo, he did that on Gragas, he did that on Rek'Sai. Admittedly, I don't actually see him often built in the whole Rek'Sai, but he does it on Rek'Sai. Like he'll take over the game early, he'll get his team a massive lead, and SK are crap, so they don't win anyway. It doesn't even fucking matter. And Watch doesn't appear to be that type of jungler, even has the potential to be that good or apply that much or take over the game in any sort of way.
He's not. He never was, and he probably never will be.
What do you think about this idea that Huni and Sunday are really similar as well? I think that's definitely no one else.
I mean, in the sense that
tanks.
they're aggressive. Okay, yeah, well, so, see, that's immediately distanced him massively from Huni on the pure fact that he can play tanks. But in the sense that they are really aggressive players, yeah, like, Huni has, like, one mode, and that is forward. Like, he is the forgiven of top lane in that sense.
Huni plays a lot. Huni plays Gnar really well, and that's definitely a tank.
Gnar is a very, very high damage tank that he plays as a split pusher, so I like.
Still plays it as a tank.
I've even if you include the Gnar stats, his percentage of playing a tank is super low, and I've done this both with Gnar stats included and without Gnar stats included, just to prove that it's worth both times. But he's just not very versatile whatsoever. Like, you want to put him on Maokai, like, because teams have just straight up won the game by putting him on Maokai in Swing Split. Like, it's not fun, and even his Rumble is not exceptional. The Copenhagen Wolves can fucking beat Huni on Rumble. Like, when it comes to playing outside of this hyper carry role, like, he's not that good. He's just not, because he has one mode. If he gets behind the laning phase, he still plays on that one mode and gets punished for it.
I mean, like, any of these European to Korean player comparisons are always going to come with the Korean player on top, because obviously Korea is a region better in individual talent across the board. But
okay, he's trying to tilt me. He's trying to tilt me. You're tilting me right now.
When you look, well, I don't really think that's arguable, mate. I'm not going to lie to you. But when you look at the way that certain players play the game, I think that Sunday and Huni both have a similar philosophy. I just think that Sunday's more well-rounded and more capable of, is a more developed player because he's played the game for longer. Sunday's been a pro player since he was like 14 years old. For KT Bullets, like, a kid looks like he's like 15 now and he's on his third year as a professional player or something. Like, obviously he's just played the game for longer, so he's going to be more well-rounded than Huni. I think another comparison you could make is Nagne, and like, I think Nagne is like the most European of all these sort of Korean mid laners, and really quite similar to Ryu in certain aspects.
Yeah, it's very, very European.
Yes, Nagne is similar to another Korean player
who also played on the same organization.
Right. Okay. So first off, Ryu is European now. Man lives in Europe. He plays for European team. Guy's European. But I just think that the
Does
way
he
that
speak
Nagne
any language that is spoke in Europe?
He speaks English. I'm assuming to his team, like, unless his whole team has done Korean.
From the tweets I have seen talking about Ryu, he doesn't speak much English.
What, the eternal boss, like, no, make it tweet.
when I was with H2K, they were using some of the Riot money to pay for Huni's English lessons. So, yeah, like, he has a lot to learn. He spoke about 3 words when I was there. I taught him the word easy, and so he could speak 4. Ryu is a lot like Febiven, but Ryu's like playstyle is so unique because the way that his team plays around their side lanes is so unique. And a lot of people have said that like H2K are based around their side lanes, or around their lane swap I mean to say, that they are very reliant on getting that lane swap off to get ahead, and I don't entirely agree with that, but they are very reliant on using the side lanes to make picks within the jungle, and Ryu's function on this team is to instantly make this fight a 5v4, and then Hyanan will deal out most of the main damage thereafter. But that's basically what Ryu has come to be on his team. He is that pick-focused player still. But he has a very unique champion pool. Like when I was talking about Incarnation Nuke Duck and how they should be allowed to play their previous champions, their assassin meta champions, their burst meta champions, like all of this stuff, Ryu was the direct comparison of how you can still do that right now, because he's still being allowed to play these, even though initially he couldn't play them worth shit when he first came to Europe. Like, he was really clearly on a downer, and they had to put him onto Lulu or Lissandra basically every game. But by the end, he'd evolved into the Ryu that was kind of hyped up, I guess. And he can now play this very pick-oriented role. But to try to compare someone to Ryu, like, I can understand if you can't find another player in Europe to do so with, because Ryu's function in his team is just so unique. It's just so unique. There isn't another team that functions like H2K.
That's true.
I don't know if anyone wants to say anything. I doubt any of you even watch H2K's games.
When it comes,
I know
to
he
Ryu,
doesn't.
I do.
When it comes to Ryu, I always think of Orianna, and I have a very tough time comparing people to him without looking at a lot of games of their Orianna, because whenever his play on that champion is, in my opinion, what made me enjoy watching him play. It's just the way he'd bait people in with the ulti.
He's still
patient play. Yeah, it's incredibly patient play. Like, it was the effect of the Orianna ultimate that he used rather than the Orianna ultimate itself.
But I just think the way that Nagane plays is quite calculated and quite refined. Like, he's not the most talented guy, but he is quite smart with the way that he plays, and that's why he sometimes makes big plays and stuff like that. Even GBM to a degree as well, you can compare to Ryu. But you can definitely, like, I definitely think that just the calculation that Nagane plays again, because he's not the main carrier KT, but he is very, he's, unlike Ryu, he has, like a mediocre AD carry on his team, and like a gifted support player, and a sort of, but unlike Ryu, he has a really good jungler in the form of Score. So it kind of, he doesn't have to play the same way Ryu plays. But I think that if you gave Ryu like a really good jungler, I definitely think he would play more like Nagane than he does at the moment. I mean, they're former teammates,
Exactly. That's the whole point.
What do you think about Fury compared to Forgiven? Or no, not Forgiven. Sorry, Fury compared to Freeze, of being a great player on a shit team.
Different champ pool, but
yeah, like Freeze's champ pool is incredibly unique. There, how many like hardcore Draven players are left? Are there any hardcore Draven players?
Arrow. He's pretty shit though, but yeah.
Oh, and what's his name? Crystal in China as well, who also experts as well, apparently.
The thing with Freeze, why I'm not entirely convinced about Freeze right now, is because if he doesn't get Khaleesi and he doesn't get Draven, he seems to default to Caitlyn of all champions. And just sat there like, there has to be something wrong with your champion pool if you're going to go for the Caitlyn if these two are down. So I'm not entirely convinced by Freeze yet, and perhaps we're not seeing that there's a major issue here because we're expecting his team to lose anyway, and he does put up the numbers, and he can play Sivir at the end of the day. Like, he's not like terrible or anything. Like, he's not in a complete dire need of a meta shift. But I've hyped up Freeze, and I've said that Freeze is in a similar position to what Forgiven was in when he was on the same exact team. And hopefully he will take the reins like Ultec has and Forgiven has, and have one glorious split and then leave for Gambit. But, like, the way that you guys are hyping up Fury, I guess he could be that type of thing if you're putting him over HQ, who is... I guess
Fury won't be on Samsung next year. I can guarantee that much. He definitely won't be on Samsung.
I'd love to see KT Fury.
KT Fury, CJ Fury. Well, actually more on KT, to be honest, but...
Fuck CJ.
Yeah, fuck CJ.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck CJ, so, yeah.
Okay, so could I see Freeze with Yellow Star?
Yeah, imagine Freeze with Yellow Star. That's how Fury and Pick.
Why would Yellowstar downgrade an 80 carries?
Yeah, but no, he's making comparison because he thinks Pickaboo is Yellowstar. He's everything that we talk about. He has to make a comparison with Europe or he doesn't understand
I like this idea that you say anything to veteran and he goes, but and then he just brings it back to European League of Legends. Like, you could be talking
it's not like I went on about your
that's
games for like ages or anything like that, right? I just always brought it back to European players, but I never talked about the Korean games for this whole time. But while it's the guest topic, yes, oddly enough, I'm relating it to Europe at every point.
When you're midway through sex, mate, are you like, oh, Europe, oh god, I'm done, like.
I could say something so fucking mean right now.
Well, you shouldn't.
No, that would be so lame.
Go for it.
It's not to anyone here. That's the thing.
Oh,
that's the thing.
Yeah, then don't.
Yeah. I could actually see Freeze of Yellowstar because Freeze is actually quite capable of holding his lane 1v2 because he might as well have been, given that he had unlimited and Chesapeake Cass as his supports, while Yellowstar lobs off to roam. Like, I actually think Freeze would be a great pairing with Yellowstar, to be honest, because Yellowstar would still be able to roam freely with Reignover like he's doing currently, or Pickaboo would be able to roam freely with Score, deep invade, set up all of these plays, etc., and Freeze would go in on them, and Freeze can be relied upon to win his lane on his own anyway, while they perform plays going on in other maps, and generally try to find a safe and secure way for Huni to get farmed up on his hyper carries. Like, yeah, I think that could work then. If we're making that type of comparison, yeah, I think that could work.
It pretty much is. Because KT's one big problem at the moment, just Arrow, his inability to survive laning with a decent amount of farm, and team fighting is also
lucky.
iffy most of the time.
I'll say the lucky cog must come back into competitive play.
Wait for it, this is the comparison that might make people angry. The Bivin and Coco.
Well, you obviously mean Forbidden and a better Coco, I guess.
Oh, fuck you, dude.
Coco is the second best mid laner in the world.
Yeah.
Right there
100%.
behind Faker.
And Goldfeet.
Right there behind. Wow, I didn't realize you guys were rating Faker so low then.
Coco
What
carries
else?
a dog shit team every single game. Like, every single game. His top laner doesn't even play the game anymore. We already know the Shai doesn't play
Yeah,
stuff.
Shai literally is when he's home, he's watching some anime or something, I don't know.
Like, Shai
I was
never
like-
plays solo queue, and he routinely carries a dog shit team. Like,
Coco is
What would you say about
the
Coco's
damage.
It's
Coco
massive.
is the damage.
He plays a shit ton of stuff.
But
Is it
Coco
Zero,
is the
Victor, or
damage
TF, Jace,
and the
Paris.
engage. He
Yeah.
engages on Azir more often than I think I've seen anyone on CJ engage outside of Mad Life's Braum on that team in ages.
Probably comparing him to Febiven would be quite good then. Has he received jungle pressure at all this split?
What do you mean?
No, 'cause
Qualify what
no,
ambition
it's
does
jungle
with
pressure.
pressure.
Has he received jungle pressure at all this split?
No.
Has Coco received jungle? No. Then he's in the same situation as well.
It's pure shit, dude. Like ambition is...
Ambition just farms and then comes to clean up lanes.
yeah.
So he's paired with... Oh, it's even worse than I thought. He's paired with Lunix.
Something like that, yeah.
I guess in that sense, then yeah, except Febiven's not getting attention because Reynov is preoccupied with the side lanes. But if he is really like doing that much, if he has a massive champion pool, then yes,
He
because the
is,
thing with
yes.
Febiven that made him terrifying is his utterly gigantic champion pool.
Coco's got a big champion pool. He just gets Azir far too often.
His Azir is just why would you not play
Yeah,
that?
'cause
But
he has
has
1v5,
played
so, you
tons
know.
of champions.
Okay.
Yeah, after MSI, like his champion pool exploded like insane. Like he plays everything right now, pretty much.
After MSI.
Yeah, well, the weird thing is he had a good champion pool before, but then he kind of like, not MSI, I mean IEM, not MSI.
Oh right. Okay.
Like because before IEM he kind of choked for some reason, even though he had plenty of champions. And a week after IEM, he was playing Vladimir, was playing TF, he was playing like everything that you could pick. Well, which was weird.
Apparently, Coco has the most CS in a competitive League of Legends match.
He does?
Yeah. He
Oh,
got a
was that
726.
game where
against
one of the
Jin Air.
teams?
Yeah, versus
Was that-
Jin Air, right?
Yeah.
Was that game where one of the teams got like Morgana Janna? They got down a combo and it lasted like 60 minutes or something.
That's
stupid
possible.
like that.
Janair with Trace.
60, 70 minutes.
It's very possible. Yeah,
it was Morgana
that
top.
was the last
Morgana
split. Yeah.
That was a bollocks.
Yeah, he's played quite a few champions. He's also one of the few that's been able to play Ezreal, AP Ezreal successfully in Korea, which is, I would say, pretty high praise.
Come on, man! Like everybody. Oh well, okay, but come on.
No, AP Ezreal's been pretty much beaten up in Korea. He's
AP Ezreal's only really being a big success in NA, and even then it's being a big success in picks. But more recently, it's losing most of its games. So
yeah, I mean, like it's not a good pick. I don't care what anyone says. It's not.
It's not really. Like it was a great
pick
when Pepe brought it out and people weren't prepared for the damage, and because Pepe isn't the shot caller of his team, like then it worked really well in Europe there for one game, and then we just never heard from it again.
Well, I think it's a good pick if they don't pick anything to prevent him from putting down the ultimate.
Bro.
Like,
yeah.
When you're playing, two of his wins came against Anarchy, when they didn't pick any, they didn't have Yasuo, they didn't have Braum, they didn't have anything to prevent the ulti. So, I mean, at least he's successful in those games. But yeah, when you don't pick when you're playing against a team that has no ability to prevent that, I think it's a really good pick.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, which means it's a very situational pick, but it's not like first pick worthy.
No, it's not like it auto win. No.
Yeah. And you should be buffing yourself against poke comps or for poke comps anyway at some point in the game. So, like Ezreal, I just don't really see why you'd go Ezreal over Jace or over Azir or over something else really right now, to be honest. Victor, always Victor. Yeah.
Jace's not popular in Korea because it's still too slow scaling.
Yeah, it's very slow.
It's very slow.
Any other comparisons that you think are going to be fun?
I am going to consider.
Ssumday to Huni, I guess, is actually a alright comparison given how aggressive I saw Ssumday being.
Any Origin players? We haven't touched on them.
Any Origin players?
Origin.
Miffy is Mad Life.
Well, Miffy does idolize Mad Life, so.
Well, they have a really similar playstyle. When they go off, they take over the game. They are everywhere. They are in your fucking face all the goddamn time, and you will hate their very existence at the end of the game. And that is basically Mad Life's playstyle. It's basically Miffy's playstyle. Like, whenever Miffy was being called upon to have all of these MVP awards given to him early on in the split, it was because he was just everywhere and disrupting everything at the same time. It was kind of retarded. His mechanical strength is his biggest strength, in the same way that Mad Life's mechanical strength is his biggest strength. Not in the same way that Peekaboo is setting up all of these plays all the time and is always like 2-3 steps ahead. The way that Miffy will react to your play will destroy it and turn it around for the benefit of his team. And he does that through what are probably the best support mechanics in the West, in my opinion. Yeah. I would love to one day see like a Miffy Forgiven lane, because that is never, ever, ever going to lose lane if it wasn't for the fact that they would kill each other if they were in the same. So, it's that problem.
Completely unworkable. It's such a beautiful idea that will never work. Like,
yeah. Like those two with like Svenskeren in the jungle and like Odoamne top and Febiven mid or Nuke Duck mid or something like that, and you have a really super good super team that will murder each other the moment they get on the stage.
The moment they get in the fucking house together.
Oh god, they'd be fighting each other to get through the door, like, holy shit. The door would just be used to, like, this Nuke Duck, no, Forgiven's head is just being slammed against the door by Svenskeren as they're walking. It's just like...
I still think a really valid comparison, although Dade's not in Korea now, is like, I still think Nuke Duck is like the sort of European Dade, and the way he plays the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, right down to the fact that they have limited champion pools that require the meta, but Nuke Duck has been heavily improving in that regard.
Yeah, but you got to understand, Dade's cashed out. He's cashed out.
I was going to say,
Dade doesn't care.
Dade has kind of been like, whatever.
People also probably tapped out every time he went to the world stage, so there you go.
Okay. Right. First off, Dade played well at Season 4 World Championships, okay? He played well.
It's fine. I guess he played well.
So he had one bad international tournament. And secondly, like Dade's the most successful Korean player like ever. That's not Faker, I'm pretty sure.
He has more titles, I think.
Like in season 4, he was in 3 back-to-back OGN finals. No one's ever done that, and no one will ever do that now. Pardon? In 2 teams, like he made Samsung Blue go from like a quarterfinal dropout team to a fucking world beater. Like
and then Fnatic let him have his like 23-3 Z first rotation, pick the RE skill launch up and just dumpster him. Like I guess like I don't know, he just had an off day. Every time he went to the World Championships,
just rewatch that game and see how much he gives a fuck about that game. Where he just stands in front of creeps laughing.
But he's already fucking lost at that point.
Right down to his arrogance.
Oh yeah, I'm Dade. I fucking love that I humiliated myself last year against this exact team in the world. I'm not going to care about this game. No, he just already fucking lost at that point.
But that's the brilliance of Dade, because he doesn't give a fuck. Like that's why I love Dade. And you know what? Like even the way like Nuke Duck isn't it like just the sort of the way that like when you watch Nuke Duck play TF and you watch Dade play TF, it's like you're watching the same person play Twisted Fate.
I replaced the word Dade with Bjergsen in my head while you were doing this one, by the way. Basically exactly a TSM fanboy right now. Like, holy shit.
Oh my god.
And like anyone who tries to disregard like Dade's success, like doesn't really.
I don't disregard Dade's success as well. I just always thought that he was hype. He had a lot more praise levied onto him than he perhaps should have.
Because when you watched his domestic runs and you saw the brilliance of Dade, like is like such an incredibly
almost
talented,
entirely meta dependent. And I really have a bias against meta dependent players.
Such an incredibly talented guy, and Dade's only weakness was himself, and he was as good as he wanted to be in that moment. If Dade woke up tomorrow and was like, you know what, I want to be the best mid laner in the world, he'd be like, he'd be rivaling Faker again. He could do it tomorrow if he wanted to. He just doesn't give a fuck. Why would he? He's already cashed out. He's making 500 grand a year on a shit team.
It was nothing to do with the meta. It was just to do with the fact that Dade suddenly didn't give a fuck.
No, because he was great in OG and Winter except for the final, and he was playing a lot of AP Nidalee and landing more spears than anyone.
I didn't realise Dade was like that.
He played well.
I didn't realise you had this intimate knowledge of him.
Yes, I would say he's more he's not as meta resilient. He really needs to change the champion pool and actually start playing them. But when he is on, he just crushes. And people, the thing that really burned me the most is that the amount of overhype people threw at Samsung White when they won is Looper and Pawn got so much fucking praise when really it was Acorn and Dade that were the better at their positions than the other Samsung.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like only people who are fan have watched Dade's like brilliance. Like that OGN spring final where he won 3-0 over CJN's Blaze is such an amazing thing. And then again in the spring against Najin Shield, we had that casting game where we were like 21 and like 4 and like 17 or something. Like,
was this a TF game?
No, it was a casting game.
He had a TF game where he completely fucking took over.
Yeah, like
that broke a record, didn't it? The TF game.
Like Dade's like such a talented guy, and I see the same thing in Nuke Duck as well. But sometimes I just get the impression Nuke Duck doesn't give a fuck, and I don't really get why.
I am not putting Nuke Duck on the same pedestal as you for the same reason I don't put Dade on the same pedestal as you. But I'm open to Nuke Duck improving right now, but Dade appears to have retired or something like that. Although Fuskman's been telling me that he is improving a hell of a lot while he's in M3 right now. So in terms of this,
because he's like, actually, you know what? I'd like to go to Worlds. Actually,
the past week has been pretty abysmal.
I don't really see M3 going down.
The games against IG I saw were pretty depressing.
Unlucky, really. But yeah, you can compare Nuke Duck with Dade in a lot of ways, but I also see the same flaws in them. I am not saying for a single second that either of them are bad mid laners whatsoever. I have a bias against meta-dependent players. Like, I do just have that bias. I put so much praise on people who have deep champion pools no matter what the meta. And Faker's ability to learn and adapt is why I personally think he's so fucking good. Like when he went into the Season 3 World Championships, he wasn't necessarily the best mid laner there the moment that he walked in, but by the time he left, he was so far ahead of everybody. Like he just needs like one game against you and he's got you all figured out, and it was unreal, to be honest. But I don't see that level of adaptation from any other mid laner, and certainly not Dade, and I don't see the potential in a player like Dade or a player like Nukeduck to get that type of adaptability.
My favorite thing about Dade was that everyone banned Yasuo. When Yasuo was amazing, everyone banned Yasuo against Pawn, and the only time Samsung White really banned Yasuo was when they played Samsung Blue, because they knew Dade would beat Pawn with Yasuo.
Yeah. I mean, that is not that kind of player with a big champion pool, but that is a guy that goes. Yeah. He has and I don't think it's necessarily he's not meta resilient. I just think he doesn't care about having a big pool and just like focuses on 2-3 champions who are good at that time during the meta, and he practices them. I don't know. He's so good on them that it makes that it doesn't fucking matter if he has a big pool. He'll just obliterate you, and he doesn't care about the big pool. He just cares about his few champions, and he will always just wreck you with it. And then
maybe he has this flaw for that reason, but it's still a flaw, and I'll just still, you know.
I mean, if you can go a whole year to 3 finals, I think you're not that your meta is not really such a problem, because.
No, but Cyanide also won 3 ULCS and never ever put him in like a top 5 of junglers in Europe.
Yeah, but Dade was though. That's the difference.
There's a difference between saying. There's a difference between saying Cyanide has done that when Cyanide clearly wasn't the one that was.
Yeah.
Wasn't what created the change. That's when Dade moved to Blue, you were just like, "Holy shit, this team is amazing." And it was it was really what he did for Blue. I don't think I've seen any player do that besides what Faker is doing for this SKT. Where this SKT, they are winning simply by his will. Where when they went for their world run and when they went to their winter one, he had more support around him, and he didn't have to. He wasn't simply going, "Okay, I want to win this game. We're winning it."
So Bjergsen.
That's what Def did.
Yeah, but
I don't think Bjergsen can do that. I think Bjergsen like, I want to win
for TSM for this many for X many
not
splits,
this season.
and he
yes.
Not this season, but like in terms of history, he used to. He used to be that type of player. But in Europe, he was a double relegation player.
Yeah. That's
the thing.
That's
like
also
it's like
Faker does it on a world
I don't
scale.
forget that though. I don't forget that.
Yeah, Faker's no. I'm not comparing Bjergsen to Faker. I'm using Bjergsen as a Dade reference in terms of like he does, but I'm still not going to say he's like that good because I've seen him outside of this in Europe, and I don't think that he's like god tier. And I saw that the moment he had to play against Power of Evil, and it was like he is just playing against a fairly easy pool over here. And outside of Faker, I'm not going to say that like Korean mids are so far above European mids outside of Faker, because Faker's like an outlier here.
Yeah, cool.
And Dade is another one of those players who I'm not going to say is.
You can't bitch.
And I'm never worried about saying this because every international tournament something happens and suddenly they are not shitting on my mid laners on an individual level, but their teams are clearly better. Like
I would love to compare players from region to region. But without actual international play, it's really fucking difficult.
And then when that does happen, I have to say, I see this, and I'm not scared on an individual level of these mids outside of Faker, who is always going to make me shit the bed if I'm a team and I'm planning against them, because I'm not. You can't eliminate Faker from the game. You just have to deal with a player who's making all the right decisions here. And like you may well cheat him one game, but then he'll learn in that one game, and then you're fucked.
Here's how I always describe the Faker versus Dade scenario. Faker will always make the correct call based on the information he has and the information he's got and the champion composition. He will always make the correct call. Dade will make the wrong call and make it look like the right call. Dade, you know that amazing 3v1 he had with Yasuo versus Samsung White? That was the wrong call that he made, but he didn't give a fuck. He was like, oh shit, I'm caught. I'm going to turn this around, boys. Like, and 3v1 at AD carry, a top laner, and a jungler. Like,
yeah, he has super strong mechanics. He has super strong mechanics on a limited champion pool. And then even within that champion pool, he's not going to like destroy Peke 1v1 because I've seen him try that. Yeah, and he's not just going to
you can't focus on a career lows and expect that to describe a whole thing. Like, what, are you going to describe Peke's career based on the fact that he lost lanes to Whites? Like,
On the fact that he lost what?
Lost lane to Whites, like.
I mean, White's was extremely good.
Yeah, exactly. And Peke's really good, but it doesn't matter, like, because you can't describe Dade based on that. Dade, the transfer of Dade from Samsung White to Samsung Blue is the most successful transfer ever. Dade and Deft.
Describe Peke based on the fact that he lost to Whites when Whites got Oriana every game and Peke was put on a counter matchup. Like, yeah, you can on that. Yeah, you can, because the moment that he got the reverse matchup, he destroyed Whites in a way that Whites has never experienced before and has never put on any other player.
But I'm not here to discuss. It was just a counterpoint.
So
but what I'm saying is like that Dade and Deft combo was the greatest 1-2 competitive like punch you'll ever see in competitive play. Like those two went off in games and they fucking wrecked everything in games. Like that, you'd have Deft like doing the perfect amount of damage and Dade just fucking controlling that team fight. He was a control assassin player. You control the game on an assassin like no one really can do.
Okay.
Categorically. Another comparison you could always make, especially although we didn't see a lot of it in season 4, is how Zora was playing the game in season 4 and how Save and Flame were playing in season 4. And I think if Zora had been a good team, pardon?
Flame, not Save.
Well, either way.
The way that Flame was playing the game, yeah, I'd compare Zora Zero because Zora Zero's personality completely fits Flame's personality and work ethic anyway. So too does their playstyle and champion pool in general.
But I think that and essentially both of them had the same season 4 as well, both trapped on a shit team and kind of a victim of their own poor decisions outside of the game. But I think that the way that like Flame, I think that Zora Zero definitely looked up to Flame a lot and definitely wanted to be like Flame, and just not realizing that Flame's way of playing the game is fundamentally flawed in some aspects.
No, he actually did look up to Flame, and he would always work out like a series of rules in his head of how to play this specific type of champion or this specific meta, like specifically how you have to be playing these lanes, and he would just list those and he would just memorize these over and over and again through pure repetition, and he just spammed this stuff, and he had an amazing work ethic. It's like the main thing that you hear about Zoro. He's toxic as hell, but that's just because he's European. He had an amazing work ethic, so yeah, I'd compare Zoro Zero to Flame for definite.
Sounds
not so
like
sure about Save.
A lot of European people are toxic.
You can remove the quotes; they're just toxic, mate.
I don't know what toxic. I don't. That word is self.
Well, the reason why. One of the reasons why professional players are up in arms about the Forgiven ban is because, well, they all do it. Why are you just always targeting Gambit, man? Is it just because you don't know where their owner lives? Like, it's just like I understand it whatsoever, and at least give them like good prior warning. This time they would have taken Genji if they didn't have a visa. Is literally on Reddit. Reddit fucking understands this. Like, you could ban so many players in Europe if you just took a brief look at their chat logs, and then after this they do, and all players in Europe get banned, and it was my fault, but whatever.
So, do you want to move on to power rankings? I believe Peter had one thing he wanted to bring up with that quickly, but
Actually, two things.
a couple last points about comparisons.
I had one more.
No, I have one last comparison question. Though this is really hard to compare, SKT as a team versus Fnatic, whose run has been more impressive to you? Have you watched any like a significant amount of SKT's games or no over the season?
I've watched a decent amount of them, but I haven't watched like all of them or anything like that. No, but on the pure basis that we're making the jump from best of 3 to best of 1, then SKT's is obviously going to be a lot better because you're being tested on so many more levels than just. You have to be able to adapt your picks throughout the rest of the series if you are going in at like a surprise in a best of 1 is a surprise for that game, and that's an automatic win on your record. Done, easy. Let's move on. You can't do that in a best of 3. In the best of 3, you have to be able to show your consistency as the better team, and you just don't get that in the West in general. So SKT is obviously going to automatically be more impressive. I would hesitate to say it's more dominant since that they just lost, but Fnatic were having a lot of close runs in their last half that I'm sure if we saw a best of, perhaps they wouldn't have all been wins. I think EDG's is a lot more impressive though, because I think EDG is a lot higher above everybody else in China. I know that they had the loss to QG, but it's whatever.
I think
Then SKT are compared to the
their
rest
spring was more impressive. The summer they've been kind of
EDGs.
changing. Yeah, they've been changing a lot of players in and out. But yeah, their spring run was way more impressive.
Oh yeah, but now they're just like pooping on people all over again.
Oh my
Now
god,
it's
yes, I've
just,
seen
like,
their games.
There's
Ridiculous.
That's true.
this is EDG and the rest of China, and this is like SKT and the rest of Korea, and then this is Fnatic, this is Origin H2K, this is Gambit with Forgiven, this is the rest of the EULCS, and then this is Gambit without Forgiven. It's like yeah, like I don't see that massive disparity in Europe. I hope that comes out in the best of series because we've seen Unicorns of Love was a bit of a shock to people last year. Oh my god. The hate for unicorns is everywhere. I just see a reaction.
I don't hate them. I just think they're overhyped. They're great. They're a great, fun team to watch. But I don't.
Historically, Unicorns of Love's run at the playoffs last split was a shock to most people, except for this one guy who was going on about how Euro are actually one of the best series teams in Europe, and that happened to be me, who'd also written articles of the Unicorns of Love's draft phase prior to them even entering the LCS. And you don't get to see that type of smart play over a series that you otherwise would be.
They're not smart.
They are very smart in how they manipulate opponents into playing the exact way that they want them to play, which is utterly chaotic and outside of their own game plan. They are very good at taking what you think is your perfect champion select and turning it into their perfect champion select. And they're very good at maintaining these baits and gambits throughout an entire series. Like they did this with TSM the moment TSM went San Jose. They did this to secure their place in the LCS because they had to make up for the fact that Gillies could only play Jarvan. Like the whole point of the Poppy pick was to free up the one target ban that they had, which was against Gideus's Jarvan. The moment that they snowballed with Poppy, knowing that they were prioritizing Mundo so heavily so they could last pick Poppy on purple side, Poppy replaces that ban, they get Jarvan, they can finally fucking win a game. It's thank God, God bless you Gideus for being able to play this one champion we bent over backwards to give you. At San Jose, they bait TSM with the TF pick into Xerath. They pick LeBlanc, they ban LeBlanc, they pick Syndra instead. Like, they do all of these neat little baits throughout series that you cannot get in the best one. That's why they're best of ones. They're always even. They're dead even. They are 9-9 again. They were 9-9 last time. But then maybe you'll see that change. I'm not sure how well, you'll probably be able to answer how well Horror's champion pool is going to help them be able to create the type of pick round phase that they want to be able to do to carry through in the series.
What I don't understand, maybe you know more about this than anyone will.
Go for it.
Why didn't Unicorns Love bring in Horror sooner? Why did they bother with Gilius ever?
There were visa issues.
So they were going all in on Horror right from the start, and just
as far as I know, it was always the plan to take in Horror, and Gilius was just for now.
Because Gilius joined
we're only up against Fnatic. We don't really need a good jungler against these guys. It's fine. Just take you for now. But yeah, they wanted Horror earlier. Yeah, they did.
That makes more sense then.
They actually won some games with Gilius and Nash's team in Glaive Oriana.
I would say I agree with the pick ban and how they can bait people into playing. They don't. Yes, every single time they've played a game, people usually play to Unicorns of Love style, not to their own style, and that is, I would say, a significant benefit for them. But I think without Kikis, they're not going to be as good. I don't know about Horo's English. I also don't know. Horo hasn't really impressed for a rather while.
His English is very good as far as I know.
I have no idea. So,
Horo's a big
I don't.
I'll Met Your Mother fan, by the way. So his English is probably pretty
Okay.
Yeah. This guy's been hyping up Horo to me anyway, and Horo did actually play rather well in MYM last split. So.
Well, yeah.
He really didn't want to lose.
Yeah, there was very difficult aspects of playing for that team.
Really annoying swim set that I had against this guy when.
Horo was in every Korean player's nightmare when he went on to meet NYM. Like, he went onto a team and then realized that the organization was so shit. He didn't know what the fuck he was doing. He just signed for a team because they offered him some money and a chance to play in Europe. Like, it was a nightmare for him.
I was only with H2K for like 2 weeks, but every time that this Horo guy got Jarvan in a scrim, it was always a loss. And then when I was on Origin, like, I see Horo again, and I'm like, we're giving this guy Jarvan and we're beating it this time. And then at the end, I was so happy, and everyone was like, what's up? And I'm like, you have no idea. You have no idea how happy I am right now. I finally beat this guy on this fucking Jarvan. Always one.
I think that another player comparison I wanted to make sooner was Soaz and Hart in his kind of in season 4 run. Both of them, I think, was quite. In the way that they both had it, they both relied on a large champion pool.
Yeah, you said Heart.
Yeah, you said Heart, mate. That's
Acorn. Sorry, Acorn.
Okay.
In the way that they both relied on a large champion pool.
It's about to be like, have I got this guy in my head completely wrong?
Yeah,
like,
I was also like, wait.
Yeah, no, I think the way that Hart and Acorn. I remember talking to Aranea, and he said that when he was the coach of Fnatic, he really wanted Soaz to play more like Hart and play more to his strengths. But Soaz is like. Not the kind. I don't think Soaz wants to like play that supportive top lane style, even though he's quite good at it. You probably know that better than me, veteran. But I do think that when Soaz was playing well in season 4, he was playing a lot like Hart, and then when he started playing Rumble all the time, that's when he really kind of wasn't playing that well.
Soaz's champion pool can be found by pressing the random button, and. He can play first off, Soaz's real peak was in season 3 when Renekton versus Shen was like the meta. Soaz is super good on these tanky champions. Like, he isn't just an assassin or AP top player or any of this bollocks. He's anything he wants. He just finds that the most fun. And like, one of the few times that I actually remember Soaz like getting emotionally angry at over the choice was when he was on his like 5th day running playing Morgana. So like, it's fair enough. You get fed up of playing Morgana top after a while. Okay, like, you said it was a flex pick, but in reality, you're going on it every game. Yeah, but it's fair enough at that point. Soaz can play absolutely everything he wants at a very high level. This split, I'm not so hot on whether he is such a self-sufficient top laner anymore, and I just have... I really honestly do still think he's like a top 3, and I really honestly do think he could be contending to be one of the best in his region, but he's not required to do so right now, because Neil's Miffy is potentially the strongest bot lane in Europe. It's definitely competing for it with the Reckless Yellow Star lane. It is so good. It is so good. It's unreal in the laning phase. And as a result, we haven't really seen Soaz shine. I don't see him as... No offense. I don't see him as intelligent a player as Acorn, by any means.
I think Soaz is pretty smart by the way he plays the game. Obviously, his TP isn't as good, but I think that the scenarios he tries to create in team fights and stuff like that are really clever.
The TPs are very iffy in Origin, though, and that's just like a bad teleport. Like, people often seem to put this just on the top laner, and I will say it's that when it is. Like, I'll say it's on the top laner when it's clear this guy's just teleported to try to get a kill. But generally speaking, teleports are a team-wide thing, and they are a communication issue between the bottom lane and the top lane.
Teleport could be a top laner issue, but it's so much more of did he respond? If he's taking too long to respond to a teleport, that could be an issue. If it's not, then it's so much more convoluted and saying, oh, this guy's terrible at TP. No, this team is terrible at TP. I completely agree 100%, because you need there's a set of information that you need when you're going to use teleport effectively. Do you know that after this kill you can get an objective? Do you know if the wave is pushing towards your tower at top? Do you know if you're pushing the wave at top first that it's going to bounce back and you're going to be able to get there in time? What are the positions of junglers, etc.? So like, all this type of stuff goes into making a proper TP play, and if your TPs are generally bad, that's a communication issue rather than just a purely a top laner issue. So I wouldn't put that all on Soaz, but I feel like Soaz, especially because they've been putting him on Fizz, which is side lane control for dummies,
a lot, and all of these types of champions that I'm not entirely sure I can say he's as versatile as a player like Acorn, or that he's as intelligent as one like Acorn. I'd like to be able to say it a lot, but I just can't right now, though I have no doubt in my head that he can play it like that. No doubt in my head. But his champion pool is fucking infinite, so if you want to compare someone to Soaz, their champion pool has to be fucking infinite.
And Acorn's champion pool is an infinite as well, when he was
So
playing.
there you go. You can compare him to Acorn.
He plays whatever he's told to play, it seems.
Yeah.
So, do you want to move on to the Peter's topic? You wanted to bring up the knee-jerk reaction?
I don't. The whole thing, like CJ beating SKT got so overblown in way too many levels. I mean, they put CJ, the second best team in Korea. Well, I still think they're like, well, third. No. I still think, actually, fourth, actually. I think Najin can actually still be better than them right now, so...
God, there's so much Najin love in this fucking thing.
But the fact that they got put over KT is pure bullshit.
Because if you're a fan of Korean scene, like Najin are the ultimate hope, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much power on that roster, you just hope that they get their shit together and sort it out, like... And then you see the glimpses of it and stuff like that. I just want that Najin Shield that played in the Gauntlet to just come back and like maintain a level of form for a decent period of time. Longer
Yeah,
than
if you don't have faith, why are you even here?
No, it's mostly that they can put over KT. Well, nothing has shown anything that they are anywhere better than KT. I mean, I'm just saying, like, pick away the Braum, pick away the Azir, and definitely pick away the fucking Sivir. Well, Coco's still going to be great, but everybody else is going to be not that impressive, and I don't see how... I mean, I think do they still play KT versus CJ? Do they still have to play this season? Split? I mean, I don't think so.
KT CJ?
Yeah. I don't think, not next week at
Nope.
least. No, oh yeah, so we won't know. That's just a bullshit that they put so high. But then the worst part is that fucking CJ got put as the 5th best international team.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, they would get bodied by like most of the fucking Chinese teams right now. Like,
I think the more heinous thing is KT is below AHQ.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's not that. And
KT went down.
As far as
went
I know, the guy
down.
who like runs the power rankings for that thing is a major Southeast Asian that loves the LMS.
But
so
yeah, I mean, I don't know much about LMS, but so I did watch the fucking playoffs. So Flash Wolves lost surprisingly against HKA. I think it was surprising. People told me that Flash Wolves was second best team. So
I'm sorry, there's no way AHQ Esports Club are better than KT, Coup Tigers, and Najin Empire. They're not better than all three of those. Like,
is one of these teams going to get to Worlds?
Yeah.
I really
Most
want
likely-
to see them lose to HQ Esports Club just so I can come back to this
Never
one.
happens. Never happens. An LMS team will never beat a Korean team.
You're gonna come up and say something like you said when Ku lost to World Elite. You came on and you were like, "Oh, they lost. Good. I hate their roster anyway." It's gonna be something like that if one of them lose. You just gotta like complete 180 and be like, "Well, I always hated these guys, so it's good. You know, it's good. I'm glad. I'm happy. I'm happy." Like that.
No, but I just don't get it with HQ. I don't get what the hype is. They scrim LPL teams. Big fucking whoopadoodle do. Like, no one gives a shit. Like,
they scrim the best region.
Alright.
I saw that Twitch. Oh, there you go.
Fucking China, the best region. Fucking what next? North America's competitive. Like,
oh, wow. Do you not think that like China's the best region right now?
No, 100% no.
They have EDG, but other than
I
that,
think they have
the most
could be the
tagged
best region,
but that's it.
Too many Chinese players.
This guy's halfway there.
I say they definitely could be the best region, but I think that there was a lot of screwing around, and the second they changed the format, you could see the play changed. And if they had that play for the entire season, I would probably give them that. When they changed the play, once they changed the playoffs, you could definitely see the top tier teams start to change and really turn it on.
Yeah.
And if they were played like that the entire season, it would definitely been the most competitive region.
Okay.
But yeah,
Fair.
they have all the players, and they have more teams as well. So fuck that shit.
They have the most players. They're China.
Yeah, but the most Korean players as well, so fuck that.
I mean,
I still say the LSPL is rather competitive too compared to other leagues.
Let's just look at this AHQ placing, right? A lot of these spots have said that AHQ are the best lineup without Korean players on their team. So of all the teams that don't have Korean players, AHQ are the best in the world. They're better than OMG. They're better than actually, that's probably the only good team without Korean players.
Origins underneath OMG.
OMG has so many issues though.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter, does it? Because like Cool's just gonna fucking body West Door, isn't he?
That's if OMG make. I don't think OMG's making it there, but yes, I think he.
OMG won't make it a Worlds, but that doesn't mean that OMG aren't better than AHQ.
Well, we're in a side lane dependent meta right now, so maybe Cool completely bodying Westor is not going to be enough. I don't know how they're judging HQ because I haven't watched AHQ that much either.
All this AHQ hype is built on the fact that they're scrimming LPL teams. OMG are an LPL team. They live in the LPL. So like,
also coming off of MSI.
Yeah, exactly. Like
where they a tournament
where they beat a tournament where let's face it, this is AHQ's MSI. They beat Fnatic weirdly. They beat TSM because TSM were on tilt after getting Cassiopeia picked against them. They lost to EDG.
God bless. A moment of silence for America and Cassiopeia. A moment, please.
Yeah, they lost EDG. They lost to SKT. They went to the playoffs where they got fucking destroyed by EDG.
Comprehensively.
Fucking annihilated. Like, that wasn't close. There was no point in watching that series. It was so one-sided.
I love the change from MSI best of one to MSI group stage as like possibly the best argument you can actually give for the difference. Because if you were to take just the best of ones versus like the rest of the tournament where you actually required a hell of a lot of skill to pull off a streak in the best of fives leading on after that, you'd be convinced that the power rankings are so right about the hype around AHQ. If you just took all these best of ones that they played in the group stage, you would be convinced it was true.
And I'm sorry, but why are Chao Gu so high? Like, they just split 1-1 with everyone. Woo. They got, they're good at team fighting. That's about it.
I think 3 is high, but I still think they're really good. From watching them play,
they won't go to Worlds.
The way they
won't go to Worlds.
Anyways,
I think they will. I think they're better than what Snake was last year, or last split. I think they're more understanding about how their comp plays and how they play as a team. What they'll do in order to make their team I think they have much more of an understanding of how to execute a team and play it out to the win. Their biggest issue is Swift.
What do you mean biggest issue is Swift? He's the best player on the team.
Yes, but also he is still Swift, and he will still go way too deep with no information and fucking die and be like, well, it worked last game.
On the fuck up.
It worked last game. But I think their bottom lane is a serious threat, and Join B is the greatest support mid laner for a jungler.
Maybe Swift just played a Cassio and solo queue or something, I don't know. I love this guy's reaction to my DM.
No, Chao Gu won't make it to Worlds, and yet they're ranked as the 3rd best team in the world. Like, really?
So you think?
Well, the KT Bullets did not make it to Worlds, and yet many people would have ranked them as the 2nd best team in the world.
Yeah, but
that's because the format.
The format was shit. Then.
I mean,
the format's good now.
It's better.
No, it's the same. No,
it's better, but it's not perfect.
No, the format that Korea used for getting teams to Worlds was good in the sense of it respected each split individually and made it so that it was the 3 most successful teams that went to Worlds. Who were the 3 teams that went in Season 3? Najin Blacksword, who won OGN Winter, MVP Ozone, who won OGN Spring, and SKT, who won OGN Winter. It was the 3 OGN champions who went to Worlds. KT didn't deserve to go to Worlds. Good form doesn't mean you deserve to go to Worlds. That's what the Gauntlet's for. The Gauntlet's for the team with the best form to go, and then the other 2 have the best performances throughout the entire year. No one ever talks about how KT got dumpstered in OGN winter and how they shit the fucking bed in OGN spring. No one talks about that. How they threw games to get MVP Ozone and then shit the bed against them. No one talks about that. Fuck KT Bullets and how they deserve to go to Worlds. They were a good team. Don't get me wrong, great team, but they lost. They had one chance to go and they lost.
Okay.
So
I want to bring up Dade again if we don't move on, please.
I just
The easiest comparison in the world. Like,
this power rankings, like SKT dropping below EDG because they lose to CJ Entus. Okay, like they didn't really care about that series anyway. They had nothing to play for. Like,
I mean, I get like right now EDG. It's I don't mind if SKT's underdogs. It's better for them, to be honest. It's a bit. I mean,
I honestly think SKT's the underdogs because there are half people that so strongly believe that SKT will win, and then the other half, which we call the right half, that believe that EDG are going to win.
I'm afraid SKT's gonna lose, but they have Faker, and you know.
I believe in Coach Aaron. Still good.
I believe in Faker.
Coach Aaron would never consider first picking Xerath for like an entire fucking split.
Yeah, that's true.
Please don't bring up the Xerath. It hurts. I'm a fan of GBM. It hurts because he's still doing it.
Not first picking, but it's just as bad.
But I mean, the power rankings have been pretty like hot garbage, so we can move on to preview of the next 2 weeks because we might as well throw in the 3 games from the week after that, just to give a perspective of what's happening. Because there's only 3 games for week 13.
Yeah, I forgot.
So we have IM versus KT. Okay. KT's most
win.
likely going to win. Janair versus Anarchy. Better not fucking lose Janair. That truly will be embarrassing.
That could happen. You know.
They're gonna lose.
Every loss to streamers is an embarrassing loss.
Anarchy has 4 wins.
Samsung, SKT. Well, it depends. If SK, well, this will prove SKT gives a fuck. If they lose this, it's clearly they just don't fucking care.
Even if they play soon, they're gonna win easy. Like it's not gonna be a problem.
Yeah, SKT will win that series. Jinair versus Ku. Finally, Ku might win a series.
This is the only
actual
interesting
good game, maybe?
No, the problem is they're both in such a slump right now. I think Ku's just gonna win because they won't get beaten early. They just ban early and they will be fine.
Has anyone realized that Ku are now on a 3 series losing streak?
Yeah, I have paid attention to it. Yeah, because I want Ku not to go to Worlds, and I want Najin and KT to go to Worlds.
Oh, okay.
So the only way.
I was gonna say you want CJ to go to Worlds.
No, fuck that shit. But that's a problem. CJ is probably going. So that's an annoyance. Right
CJ won't make it to Worlds. Trust me.
Ooh, I checked all the numbers. Like CJ is going if they just make fucking turns. If they just now in standings will get to like, they have to make third and they're going, and Ku won't through a point system. That's a point.
Yep.
The point system helps both CJ and Ku right now, even though they're both probably weaker. But CJ is right now too far ahead, but they will probably still squeak out and Ku won't, and then they won't. There's only one way, and that's we talked about this together. Like KT gets like.
Yeah, KT or Najin has to get second place
KT
or above.
KT has to get seconds.
Both KT and Najin have 10 points.
Oh yeah.
They need you need CJ and Ku to get you need CJ to get below 4th or 4th and below, and Ku to get 5th or 6th and below.
So I'm hoping Jinner wins, then Ku actually doesn't get even 2 playoffs, so they don't get 6th, and then CJ can end up 4th, and that would be perfect. But it's gonna be hard. It's still possible. CJ, I know it's gonna be fucking iffy. Point system right now, but CJ could.
You have Najin SBENU, the last hope for SBENU.
No, they already won, mate. It's fine. They can retire now. They won a series.
OQ is gonna destroy SBENU. Like he's gonna fucking destroy him. Like. He doesn't give a like if your bot lane's not great, he'll just fucking rip all it. Like one of the most fun things about what the potential of Najin playing internationally is watching how OQ will fare against these Chinese AD carry greats. Like hell will fare up against all the Names or whatever you want to call them now, TNT or whatever.
It becomes Uzi. I will have you know when it comes to Worlds, Name just name changes. So.
Yeah. How it'll do, because I think Oki's gonna show the fuck up at Worlds based on the kind of player he is.
See, that's a problem.
Didn't Name have like food poisoning at the last Worlds? See, he had a legitimate reason for not showing up.
Nothing Dade, right?
And then you
He
have
didn't
KT
just go,
Anarchy.
oh, well, I didn't care about this, like some butthurt motherfucker in a solo queue game. Like, I didn't care about the World Championships. Who cares about the World Championships? Like, what the fuck?
Last game is KT Anarchy for that week, which is another unsurprising game, or should be unsurprising game.
Yeah, and I am CJ.
And then the final week we have Najin SKT.
Get hype.
Pretty good.
This is actually quite important, because if Najin could win, then they could pass CJ or tie with CJ. I think maybe. Actually, no. Wait, they can't.
No, they can pass Ku though.
Yeah.
They probably will
CJ.
pass Ku anyway.
For CJ to lose their third seed, they need to lose to IM or lose to Samsung.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
because Samsung CJ is the next game after that.
The one criticism I have, and maybe this is a side topic of this OGN best of 3 format, is that it makes, because of the point system as well, it makes tiebreakers, like it makes the head-to-head record so completely irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like, like right now, Najin have a 2-0 record over Ku Tigers, but because of the point system, Najin are below them. You know what I mean? Like that kind of. Does that make sense?
No, I get it. I get what you mean.
No,
So how many points are they below Ku?
2.
2.
Huh.
Technically 3, because Ku got a point taken off them because they were late to a match.
Wait, isn't that 1 then?
No,
Yeah, so
'cause
technically
it's-
they're 3 points behind.
Well, yeah, still 2. It doesn't matter. Like in the end, it's 2.
It's actually 2, but
Yeah,
you could argue it should be 3.
Yeah, but that matter. I'm just thinking about them.
The last game of the series may put Ku behind even further if they lose to SBENU. You never know. SBENU seems to be turning it up.
So
they were a legitimate Worlds contender.
So if Jin gets at least 1 game of Ku, and Najin gets 1 game of SKT, they would tie, and then Najin would go above them in the standings. Yeah.
When you're relying on Jin Air Greenwing Falcons to win a game, I am going to have to tell you, it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, even in like, it's still possible. Okay, like right now, I'm looking. SKT's 1, and then KT is pretty locked in for 2nd, I think. I don't think CJ can pass them, right? No, I see.
No, but remember, you need CJ to get, what is it, 4th and below? If they get 3rd place...
But if they get 3rd place, they can lose in the playoffs and get 4th place.
Yes.
So that's the whole
They'd
point.
have to lose... If they get 3rd place, they'd have to lose their first...
So I'm just thinking, like, KT 2nd, like, they shouldn't... Well, they're above in points, right? Because they're same in match score, but I'm not sure in points.
I think due to the grueling format of Korean playoffs, I actually think it's pretty reasonable to say that CJ won't manage to make 3rd in the playoffs, because unless they finish in 3rd.
Yeah, if they're most likely going to finish in 3rd. Most likely the standings we have right now, besides Najin maybe leapfrogging Ku, I think that's the standings you probably have of SKT, KT, CJ, Ku, or CJ, Najin, Ku, because the last remaining games are so easy. Like, it's pretty easy to pick.
Yeah.
But what you forget about CJ is when you think they're bad, they're good. But when you think they're good, what are they?
They're bad.
Worse.
They're really bad.
They lose me £125.
This is gonna be the revenge of Expression. Trust me, Expression is gonna body the entire CJ Entus on Aurelia for no reason.
Yeah. Well, let's say it like this. It's actually Najin. If Najin does well at the playoffs, they can secure both them and KT at Worlds.
Yeah.
Because they can beat Ku at 4th place, so Ku gets to 5th, which is what they need to be to get only 80 points or something. And then Najin has to beat CJ, and then CJ put up to 4th, so they also only get 80 points. And then KT or Najin, probably KT, will win the 2nd place, the semis, get to 100 points, go through with the point system, and SKT will go because they're first.
They only get 90 points.
Yeah, but they have 10.
Oh yeah,
so
they get to 100, yeah.
So they get to 100. So actually, yeah, right now the standings are just good enough. We just need Najin to perform at playoffs, which is not something that necessarily will happen, but, you never know.
They're the dumbest
happen is
team
CJ's
that you guys support. Like, it's an
CJ,
unreal.
I don't. Hey, don't put me in with them.
Okay, I won't put this guy over here, who also really likes my BM. Like, you two, like, you support, like, the dumbest team out of all of this collective. Like,
I do. Yeah, I support Jin Air.
Wow.
We all do, but Jin is shit. But they're not.
They're not even talented. Like, what?
Whoa.
GBM and Chaser are I like them.
They have talent.
I did just catch GBM on a bad day.
They have talent.
Pilot. There's clearly quite a lot to Pilot. He's just on a bad team right now. Just because a team is doing badly doesn't mean the players are bad.
I mean, Chaser looks good, but Chaser's picks were just terrible. Like, if that's what's required for him to look good, then it's a detriment to your team.
Get over it.
Huh?
No, he picks us to get them to win. Like, he picks us because he needs to get the team
Trust
to win.
me, he wins on Italy, mate.
He has played so many different champions very well.
He has a super good win rate on Italy.
Just...
If it's better or not.
But
he's good on it. No, I want Najin to go. I actually don't fucking care that much for Najin, but Ku is just not good right now. And both Ku and CJ are gonna utterly disappoint at Worlds.
The nightmare scenario is Ku, CJ, and SKT.
Yeah, at Worlds. So it means like Korea is only gonna have one team that's just gonna be remotely good, and the other two is just gonna do nothing at Worlds. That's the whole point. Like I like a part of CJ and I like a part of Ku, but the team together is just too shit right now to be anything. And I think Najin can do better on just individual.
It's funny. The two parts of Ku Tigers, the one part of Ku Tigers I like, which is Gorilla, is the same part I like of CJ Enters, which is Mad Life. Like,
I like Coco.
Coco notwithstanding, like.
Well, once again, Korea is the issue of where did the junglers go, and then you remember China.
Yeah. Imagine Ku Tigers with a good jungler.
But that would really help a lot, because what Ku really need is to at least secure that first Drake, and then they can try to scale up. But in a meta where the neutral objectives gives the stats that they give, you just can't do that late game style anymore. You can't. That's why the meta favors these early skirmishes so much. That's why I don't like Ku's style whatsoever. That's why elements fail. Like, you need to have a really good understanding of.
But if they had a good jungler, then they could get that first Drake every time.
Exactly what I'm saying. So I was agreeing with you, Sam. Do not worry. I was agreeing with you this time. I was like, yes, that is what they need. That would really help. They could at least get that first Drake and then try to scale. It's all good. It's all they need.
No, I do. I think that I just can't wait for playoffs to start now. I'm kind of bored of this horrendously long regular season.
Yeah, and then they have week.
Well, it's the past 3 weeks. The week, what is it? 11. 12 and 13 have been pretty meh.
Because the problem with OGN format now is what I used to like about the OGN format was every game mattered, you know what I mean? Like, every game was, like, important. Every game was this, and because of how grueling and punishing it was. And then you did, like, a bit of regular season, and then you got straight into the playoffs, and it was on. And the playoffs were, like, long, and they were fun to watch, and you could spec it, and now we've lost all that.
Yeah,
well, week 6 to 9, or week 6 to 10, where you had a lot of the top teams playing each other, was like the important weeks, and now it's just you need to clean up.
Yeah.
You just need to clean up against the bad teams.
You have to not drop any games.
You need to not do a Jin Air and lose to SBENU. That's
exactly. Jin Air fucking themselves so bad.
Yeah, they did. They've done it. They've done it the entire season.
Yeah,
they played
stupid
fucking comps.
They dropped games, and now they dropped a series that they needed to actually be relevant. I mean, I consider them the 6th best team anyway, but I mean now they actually fucked themselves over because they were still looking good to be above Najin in the standings. But yeah, never mind that. Bye bye, sad plane.
All right. Well, I think that's about it. Anything else to bring in? Last thoughts?
No.
Someone in the chat is asking me what I think about Froggen in combination with Cabochard and Forgiven.
That team would never work.
I actually think that team could work.
Froggen only understands late game. It's that Thorin joke. Early game.
Froggen understands how to survive his lane very well, though, and doesn't necessarily necessitate all of the jungle pressure.
I'm not here to talk about Europe. Froggen shit. Fuck Froggen.
Okay, we're gonna fuck.
Tweet me. Ask FM.
Oh my god. Alright, do the outro now. Yeah.
Yep, that's about it. Do you have anyone else have any shout-outs they want to do?
Yeah, Michael.
I think Veteran has some because you actually do something within esports.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to The Score. That's at The Score Esports and at The Score LOL if you just want to catch up on the League of Legends actions. I write articles specifically based around Europe for them. And you can follow me on Twitter at VeteranEU. And yeah, that's basically both my shout outs. Also, quick shout out to Jordan Walsh, who would like Pinata to know that he has a glorious beard.